Okay, we just missed a little bit of it. Okay, as can be seen here, the judgment amount was originally $7,590. And it turns out these folks declared bankruptcy. And they used Legal Shield guidance to double that amount. Okay, so this just happened to me last year. So as a bankruptcy creditor of another stream of passive income coming to me each month, at least until this is paid off. Another thing is, when I first started doing a technique called Subject 2, I'm not gonna lie, I messed up a few. Okay, I did some stupid things. For this one here, I made the mistake of letting the seller stay in the house. When you do a Subject 2, there's a reason they're willing to let you take over the mortgage payments and deed the house. Get them out of the house, move them in an apartment or a rental or something. I let them stay in the house. So some years later, last year, they sued me for the house back. Okay? Now I had caught up their mortgage payments several $1,000s, and they didn't want to pay me anything for catching me. Otherwise, they'd have lost the house 10 years ago. So Legal Shield guidance allowed me to become such a pain that they ended up paying me $6,700 to just deed the house over and go away. All right. Now part of that is, I frankly threatened the attorney. Okay, I wouldn't know to do that if I didn't have like a Legal Shield attorney telling me how to do so. This is one that just passed down the pike here. I'm an engineer. You know, my formal training is as an engineer, and I work with my dad. You know, because he's a retired engineer, and just to keep him busy. All right. There's a friend of ours who's a professional engineer in the state of Montana. He asked us to come out to help rehabilitate an old historic truss bridge out there, which is what my specialty was. And it's a very political situation where some people wanted it rehabilitated, and another contingent didn't want it rehabilitated. And one of the opposition is an attorney. So he filed a complaint against me for practicing engineering without a license there. This is almost a year ago. Legal Shield guidance allowed me to get it dismissed, and now some of you are going to find out you can use Legal Shield for defensive purposes, to protect yourselves. I like to use it as a weapon. Right? Now it's my turn. I'm going after them. Right? Now that this has been dismissed formally, I'm going to use Legal Shield guidance to see what I can dig out of them. Okay. Anyway, it's fun. It's all fun. Okay. when you know you can't be sued really. You know, with Legal Shield guidance. So, Sarah, is it okay if I hand this over to you?
Yes. Thank you so much. Okay, Bob, help me with Advance.
Appreciate that. Let's back up. That's the laser pointer.
That'll stay with me for 30 seconds, right? But again, as you can see, Bob is a product of the product. And as a result of just becoming a member, he became so passionate in wanting others to know what's available to them. Midlands REIA now is a marketing arm, their partnership with Legal Shield to help not just the investors and all that come out, but just an outreach period in the community. Would you agree that we're in a litigious society? People will sue you for anything now. It's almost where if you don't look at them, you're at risk, and if you look at them, you're at risk. So what do you do? And as business owners, would you agree that we have some of the same issues as small business owners, that is? I'm a small business owner as well. Would you agree that we have some of the same issues as big businesses? What is the greatest difference, though?
Huh? The money part. You don't have to worry to big business.
The deep pockets. That's it. The big companies, they pay retainer fees, I mean hundreds of thousands of dollars. Here, Mr. Little Man, Little Lady, we are not in that arena. Therefore, oftentimes we're taken advantage of. And I could stand here and go over situations. I've had the service since 1998, 20 plus years, and have utilized it. You thought you could just see a sampling of Bob. Just imagine, for me, I could wallpaper a room in here based on how many times I have used the service. So I'm going to highlight this today. You do have on your chairs 2 events that I have coming up. And at the conclusion, my number is on here. You can write it down, get a business card for me. I'm speaking on behalf of Midlands REIA because this is how we work as a partnership. So just think, of course, we all the business owners in here are contemplating being a business owner. And as a business owner, ask yourself, have you ever, if you don't have employees, does anyone have employees? Okay, no one in the room with employees, but you probably know others who have employees. So again, you may not have hired anyone or fired anyone, but you probably know of someone who has had that experience. You may have, even though you don't have employees, you still may have run into debt collection issues. There's that strong possibility. So again, this is where the Legal Shield plan can come in. Or just ask yourself, have you ever been in a situation where you thought that the advice of an attorney might be useful? You know, I suggest that when you contemplate, and I want to start a business, that's when you need to have that access. How do you want to structure your business? LLC, S Corp, I mean, you're going non-profit, you know, there's a lot of different things there, variables. So how do you want to structure that? How do you make sure your finances, your money pools and all that is separated? How do you work the taxes and all of those things? Who best to confer with than legal counsel? I've known, in true story, of a situation where someone came to me referral. They were upset because they had entered into a 4 or 5 year lease. Is that common when you're going into rental? It's common for them to say it's a 3-year lease agreement. What they were upset about is after having signed off on the lease, they discovered what they wanted to do within the lease space, they couldn't do it. That's it. So they're upset because the person wouldn't let them out the lease. If they had had an attorney or someone to confer with, they could have said, let's do some research here, OSHA, whatever, compliance, zoning, and they would not have, you know, gotten into that situation. So it's just, you know, vendor dispute. You know, as business owners, we're leasing, and word of mouth, that doesn't work anymore. Do you agree? You say, well, okay, yeah, we're in partnership. I'm going to do A, you're going to do B. I promise you, it doesn't matter. I don't look at relationship. I look at business and what's on paper to protect you. So it can be your family member, friend, and sometimes family member, that's even when you want 2 or 3 documents written out. Just kidding. But have you ever signed a contract? We sign contracts all the time. Cell phone contracts, automobile contracts, you name it. We're forever signing contracts. Well, those contracts that you have signed, have you had an attorney to review all of them? Do you know the fine print? The big print giveth, the fine print taketh away. Here, what if you could have it where your law firm review those contracts without you paying billable hours? Would that be of value to advise you what's in there? So that's just another feature here, and you can see some of the stats there. This is a home business supplement. I am excited about this because more and more entrepreneurs now are working from home. Do you know anyone that work from home? Any of you work from home? Yes, absolutely. It's almost like we're the backbone of the country. So again, we have it where you can have a personal family plan, and for $9.95 per month, write that down, $9.95. I have spent more than that today between Starbucks and when I leave here, we're picking up some wraps, okay? Yeah. You can have an attorney, a law firm in your back pockets, right there, an app on your phone, because everything we're talking about is an app on your phone. So where can you go for $9.95 added to a family plan? A family plan or in personal legal plan is $24.95. Just write that down. $24.95 for a personal legal plan. Then now you have business representation for $10 more, $35. We can't go and buy pizza, 2 or 3 beverages for $35. Am I correct? Am I correct? That's what you're looking at. If you have children, you definitely can't supersize anywhere, almost, and treat them for $35. So this is, just imagine for as little, if you're working from home, as little as $35 per month, which is a write-off because we're in business, you now have access to the attorney for unlimited telephone consultation. If it was that piece only, would that be a value for you, peace of mind, protection, and security as it relates to just being able to call your law firm and speak with them? And in addition to speaking with them, they now will review documents on your behalf, contracts on your behalf. They write letters on your behalf, make phone calls on your behalf. If it's a debt collection issue, they will collect up to 3 letters per month on your behalf. The beauty is what they collect for you, if it's a debt collection issue, is yours 100%. What happens when you defer, hand off debt collection issues to a debt collection agency? What happens? They're going to take a percent. Most of them, if you do your research, 30–40%. Just like that. Here, what the attorneys collect for you is all yours. And even down to specialty matters as it relates to tax, securities, intellectual property, all of that is part of that same $35 per month. IRS audit. We are all small business owners, right? So that's not a W-2 audit, right? If you're audited. Here, for that same $9.95 addition there, you have a Schedule C and E representation. A real live attorney, not 1-800 India somewhere. You have someone to assist you with that audit should it come into fruition. Is that strong or is that strong? When you can go and have a tax attorney advise you on what to say, what not to say, what to do, what not to do, what to produce, big difference, big difference. So that's part of, I want you to see how that complements. A lot of small business owners, they don't have websites, they don't have the CRMs in place and all of that. Here you also can add for $14.50 and have a website that's e-commerce, unlimited consultation with resource consultants out of Atlanta under Fran Tarkenton's umbrella. So we can elaborate more on that as well. For time constraint, I'm just highlighting. This Go Small Business help you with all these different areas. I mean, from risk assessment, your minutes, your legal forms, your tracker. It's an online, it has a lot of online learning there. Just for another small amount, you can add all that. So basically what we do, we just take remove the worry out of it. You don't have to look at the phone and see it getting heavier and heavier because it's going to be $200 or $300 or $400 an hour. You just tap the app and now you're speaking with your law firm. That's what you're looking at there, providing liberty, equality, and opportunity so that we all can go forward. This is what your app looks like. Mine is over there on my phone box, on his phone. And you just tap the app. With that, it's our vision to provide equal access to the liberty, equality, opportunity, and justice to every human, that every human deserves and expects. You know, sometimes our expectations start diminishing because of that pocketbook. But we deserve it and we should expect it, and that's where we come into the picture. So ask yourself, have you ever done any of these things here? Have you ever signed a contract, had a landlord issue, been overcharged, received a traffic ticket? I could go on and on and on. You know, we know that 70% of North Americans do not have a current will. Here, part of that same $24.95, you are provided a living will, last will and testament, healthcare power of attorney, durable power of attorney, all of that for that same flat fee of $24.95. Thank you for joining us. So that in itself is putting you in the black with a lot of value the moment you decide to enroll. This is where we are. Under that family plan for $24.95 monthly, you are covered, your spouse is covered, or a significant other. If you cohabitate, it covers all of your children living at home under the age of 26, never married. That's huge. It covers any child that you become the guardian of up to age 18. You could say right now, I don't have any children, but between now and 7:30, life events. Now, what do you do to help little Sue, or what do you do to help Johnny? That's where you can now have that young child part of your plan, getting the coverage and representation and the knowledge that you need to go forward in that relationship. So that's what you're looking at there. It covers if you have a child, well, an adult that lives at home, your child, mentally or physically challenged, they're covered regardless of age. I've had some situations where I protect families One lady, her son was a quadriplegic motorcycle accident. He was 38 at the time when I enrolled her, and she was just heart pouring because she expressed how she'd gone through so much and was still going through a lot, just trying to get assistance here and there and understanding forms and documents and things of that nature. So that's what you're looking at. And I have another member whose son is autistic, and Josh, and they were so involved with the attorney and him and the school system until there was assistance in helping to identify a school that could provide him so much more that they didn't even know that exists. So that's what you're looking at as far as family coverage. And for the personal side, for that same $24.95, all of your covered members receive exactly what I shared with you. Here, keeping it simple and just highlighting, we can provide you videos, any more collateral you would like for more education. But for that $24.95, just imagine tapping the app and calling your law firm, and now you have unlimited unlimited consultation on the personal side as it relates to you and your family. They write letters on your behalf, they make phone calls on your behalf. Like Bob, I have used it for as small as a $15 dispute all the way up to a $25,000. Where we signed a contract, it was reviewed, but they decided to go south, wanted to go south, and of course we deferred it to the attorney after 6 months, and it's like, this is not right. And it took them 6 months, we never paid a penny. And I remember April when they called and said, hey, it's been reset. You know, everything was reversed. $10,400 something was put back in our bank account that we had paid, and the other $15,000 was null and void. And all of that was from just our $24.95 coverage up under that. And so I've used it from disputes with cell phone, moved, the cell phone didn't work in the home. They wanted to charge me an early termination fee. Have you ever heard of anyone being charged before? Yeah, they do that to me. But when I got the attorney involved, all that was reversed. Attorney Gardner, who sold me my membership, he lived in Darlington, South Carolina. They were billing him for a $3 charge, $3, but they wouldn't stop, the cell phone company, they wouldn't stop billing him. And so what did he do? He handed over to Legal Shield, and they got that cease and desist, all of that good stuff. The language is just phenomenal. I love when they write letters and you look and read all that. It's like you just feel so empowered. And because we are. So that's what you're looking at here. For the family coverage, you have IRS audit representation, civil trial, domestic. For that same $24.95, we cover uncontested divorce, uncontested name change, uncontested adoption, all of that, uncontested separation, all of that for that same $24.95, in addition to providing you 24/7 emergency access. If you or a covered member is detained, interviewed, or questioned, you can tap the app on your phone, and now you're speaking with your law firm. So that's how simple that is. They're located right on Two Knives Road, 8910 Two Knives Road in the BB&T building. This is how, even if you were to get a speeding ticket, you tap the app, upload the ticket to the law firm, and their goal is to negotiate your points and your fine to keep the insurance from going up. That's tremendous. I've used that area as well. Back in the day when I got my last ticket, we didn't have the app. But I can promise you, when I got that ticket Labor Day, at the beach, Myrtle Beach, Tuesday morning when I got back to Columbia, I was calling and I faxed the ticket in. Some of you don't even know what faxing is, but back then I faxed that ticket in, and they negotiated the 4 points, and I was extremely happy there. So that's what you're looking at, the will preparation. I've highlighted all of that. For that same flat fee, and that's not just a will and all of these items for you, but that's for that significant other as well. Go and really price a comprehensive will, living will, last will and testament, healthcare power of attorney. See how much all that costs. A tremendous amount. You're looking at common money, and that's part of that same $24.95 that you pay monthly. So we could go on and on. There's another area. Just say if it's bankruptcy, murder, rape, DUI, if one should incur those situations and want to use the law firm, as a member, they get a 25% discount. So I could go on and on. Contingency cases, they are there to help with that. And it's not where you're reaching attorneys that are not local. covered member, I've highlighted that. So again, bottom line, you know what, which one will you choose? $250 an hour, or you want to have it where you pay $34.90 a month and receive all the benefits that I shared with you earlier. Identity theft is huge. I could go on and on and on. We have, I'm proud to say, we have one of the most robust identity theft product in the marketplace, and you can do your due diligence on that. We restore you back to pre-theft status, and it comes with up to $1 million guarantee. So whether it's medical theft, Social Security, DMV, criminal character, financial, bar none, do your research and you'll find that there's no product on the market as comprehensive as ours. Another app there, they monitor everything, literally. Dark web, social media. One bureau up to 25, tri-bureau is up to $1 million. So that's what you're looking at there, because criminals don't want your money anymore, they want your identity. If I stole $100 from you, I only have $100. But if I steal your identity, oh, I can sell that over and over and over, and I can do so much more with it. So they don't care about your money anymore. That's what you're looking at there, just a little snippet. Perks, I'll talk to you more should you give me a call about your perks. But here, I teach members to where when you use your perks, which are affiliates that offer discounts to our members, your membership literally can be at no cost. From cell phone discount, entertainment discount, car rental discount, floor, every area you can think of. And when you use your perks, we've been sitting in restaurants before, bought gift cards right there through perks. $50 gift card was $42. That was $8 sitting right there at the table. So that's how we help members to offset. And of course, this is a great place to start at $34.90 for individuals such as yourself and myself. So that's where we are there. So I'm going to conclude, shift gears. I do have business cards. Bob knows how to reach me. My number 803-622-5334. I do have business cards, and I'll answer any questions that you have on behalf of Midlands REIA. So I thank you for your time. We don't have a Q&A period, but due to time constraints, we want to get you into part 2 here. So thank you. Yes, ma'am.
Very close. Oh, no, I didn't see them. I'll grab one. Okay. Who doesn't have that?
Thank you, sir. I appreciate that. We're moving some things around a little bit so people, the newer people, can kind of see what we have here. The people who've already seen this and are sick of it, you can network or do what you want. Did I close that? No. Okay, so we're going to do the presentation, or the introduction now, and the deal presentation afterwards, kind of a reverse thing, okay? So this is the Midlands Real Estate Investors Association. Appreciate you coming. Now, please silence your cell phones, okay? If your cell phone goes off during the meeting, then we're going to ask to put $5 into our oops jar, and the oops jar at the end of the year goes to charity. Last year there's $20 in the oop jar, and 15 of those are mine. Okay? So, don't be like me, you know. Avoid paying unnecessary penalties. Okay, we may capture a photo. In fact, we are recording this event right now. Is that okay, Adrian? Is it okay for recording? Okay. And assuming the recording doesn't mess up, we'll make this available, you know, on the website. Liability disclosure. I don't see our attorney here. So as far as I know, no one here is qualified legally as an attorney or a financial planner or whatever, financial advisor. So anything at this meeting that you get is kind of like experience, personal experiences, hearsay, et cetera, okay? If you have any questions, legally or financially, as to the wisdom of what you're seeing here, seek qualified help, because we're technically not it, okay? Okay, at the Christmas party, these are some of the things we'd like to introduce into the meeting. We had some input from the audience as to what they'd like to see. And I'd like to add a few things here. Syndication, we didn't have that last year, for example. I'd like to bring in a syndication specialist on that as well. So if you have any suggestions as to what you'd like to see, please let us know. If we can make it happen, we'll make it happen. Now, one thing is, I say this every meeting, and I just want to emphasize this. I'm not the only one who thinks this. Nationwide, only 3% of the people who ever get into this business the way we do ever do a single deal. I think Columbia's a little bit higher based on what I'm seeing, but still, it's not as high as a person like me. So, okay, some of our goals for 2020 are to have more workshops, which, by the way, there will be one this Saturday. All right, I'll explain as we go. More workshops this year, better subgroups. We have a couple subgroups going now. We really need to get them more active. Be wary of expensive coaching programs. Okay, I just went to one yesterday on tax liens. All right. To get into this business the way we do it, you don't have to spend a lot of money. And some people, if you're smart, you don't have to spend any money. Okay. What they do is they get you put on your credit. Okay, so when you're one of the 97% that don't do a single deal, you're still stuck with those payments. Okay. If you're going to go into a coaching program, I suggest you first learn how to do it, make the money first, and then if you still want to pay for an expensive coaching program, go ahead. Okay, just don't put it on credit where you're stuck with payments month after month, even if you're not doing any deals. Okay. Our goal is to increase success rate affordably to at least 50%. It'd be nice. Ideally 100%. I don't know if that's attainable. For beginners, our job, I feel, is to get you up and running as soon as possible, independently of anyone else, even this association. Okay? As much as we love to have you as repeat members year after year, you know, that's lots of times, quite frankly, we move different places and whatnot, okay? So at the very least, we'd like to at least show you some of the basics that you can adapt elsewhere. You might move to, say, Alaska or something, I don't know, okay? Okay, for the advanced investors, we'd like to provide the best possible continuing resources that we can. And accordingly, we like to network with other REIAs. Like, for example, Rick Renner for the Columbia REIA is here, okay? And they have resources we don't, anyway. Okay, why the low success rate? I think it's because it's a very low barrier for entry. Easy in, easy out. Okay, I get this repeatedly. Okay, some people, in fact, some people have paid for memberships here. I never saw them again. I don't understand that. Okay, the memberships aren't expensive, but at the same time, if you have it, use it. Okay, I think one of the problems is, as you go along the timeline, success and failure pretty much look the same. Okay, what you have to do is you have to adapt and make good habits out of bad decisions. Okay? And ultimately, somewhere along the line, you're going to have a breakaway to either success or failure. Okay? I don't know about the people here, but I found out my hardest deal was actually my first one. Okay? After that, all of a sudden, it's like, where are all these things hiding? Here they are. Okay? So I wonder if anyone else has experienced that. Okay. A good club or association should offer an abundance of resources, provide great networking, give the best training possible, current training. What worked, say, last year may not work this year because changes in regulations or something. Okay? This association, and any good association, should always seek to improve and adapt. as well as learn and teach best practices for local real estate investing, okay? When the gurus come to town, okay, they teach you these generalized concepts and whatnot. And for the most part, on a general basis, they will work. But there's little quirks that you don't know about our area that the gurus don't know about. For example, I'm going to throw this one in, okay? If you're a landlord and you have a lease with your tenant, an active lease, your tenant can strip your house clean down to the studs, okay? It's not theft, it's a civil issue. You have to sue them in court, the police will not arrest them. All right? Ask me how I know that. See, the gurus don't know that. The national gurus don't. Okay. As for the Midlands REIA, we offer discounts to national vendors and supply houses. One of our big, I don't know if he's in here, J.D. Hollifield is actually like a walking Rolodex. He has friends everywhere who offer discounts and whatnot, stores and stuff, but discounts on Midlands REIA trainings and workshops, and when it's a workshop offered strictly by Midlands REIA, not an outside speaker, we like to provide it to members for free. Okay, in fact, we're going to have a workshop this weekend, this Saturday, that's free to members. No door fee to general meetings, access to members' areas, the members' area local cash buyers with their phone numbers, documents, videos, other resources. I've gotten calls this past month from 3 or 4 people. They're saying, hey, do you have one person asked me for a memorandum of contract to record the courthouse. Another one asked me for like a contract and stuff. It's all in our members area. Okay, this is stuff that's court approved. And anyway, there's other little quirks about that, but it's all in our members area. Also, close guidance for deals. That's a Midlands REIA thing. Okay, if you're a member of this association, I'll bust my tail to get you an answer. All right. If I don't know it, I know some of our other reference I call them reference librarians. I don't consider ourselves coaches or mentors. I hate that term. Okay, we're reference librarians. So someone's going to have the answer for you. All right. As I said, we're always open to suggestions on ways to improve. If you have any ideas for workshops, topics, or subgroups you'd like to see formed, please let us know. Okay, this is our Facebook group. I call it the Money Mastermind group. There's a lot of deal flipping going on in this group. If you're not in this, nothing else. We're on the major social media, networks like YouTube, LinkedIn, et cetera, et cetera. If nothing else, though, go to our Facebook group and click into that. Right? You'll see deals being flipped pretty frequently. Now, going back to our cash buyers, I get once or twice each month. I say, "Where's your cash buyers?" Well, when you log in, if you don't log in, if you hover over the members area, you're just going to see a login, log out. You have to log in to see this full menu. Okay. When you go to the cash buyers here, it's going to give you cash buyers with proven cash buyers with their phone numbers. Now, a couple things. Please do not call them unless you have a deal to present to them. Some of our newer members went down the list calling these people and they're saying like, okay, who are you? Okay. You're basically wasting your time and theirs. So please have a deal and say something like, hey, what's this guy? Hey Tony, I got a deal on my plate here. I'm a rehabber like you, but I'm a little busy right now. Would you like to take a look at it? Okay, I got you just tell them like you got their name from like Keller Williams or something like that. Okay, so okay, annual membership is $125 per year for a single and $200 for a couple. There's something called REIA bucks that can be used as credits towards it. Okay, for example, those who were not members who went to the January 25th rehab workshop paid $40 a person to attend that workshop. If you become a member, you're welcome to apply it to your annual fee. Okay. Non-members, the first visit is free, and there is a $20 door fee afterwards, and you have to go past any reason to get into the room. Okay. A few announcements. Dean Luis, can I have you introduce the book thing?
month's book is John Wooden, Wooden on Leadership. If you want to learn Coach Wooden's secrets, his list of the qualities that you need to be a good leader and how to build an essential, successful organization, this book is great. It's a more complete, denser version of a smaller one that I have spoken about a year and a half. So I have it up there. If anybody wants to look at it while they're here, just please don't take it out of the room. It's an excellent book.
You mentioned the pancake breakfast.
I have tickets. So the pancake breakfast is February 22nd from 8 to 10. So it says on the top there. It's at Bats Cafe on East Main in Lexington. $10 for an adult, $5 for children. It is going to benefit Palmetto Civitan Club. We use these funds to have community service projects, like we have picnic coming up this summer for the 2 group homes that we sponsor. In December we had a Christmas party for the 2 group homes. We just hosted an event at the Awesome Gym down here in Harbison, so that families with children with IDD could come and we paid for their admission to get in. It was 3 hours in the afternoon, and it was a lot of fun. But we do projects like that. We also, Palmetto Civitan also supports Sharing Hearts, which is a support group for families with family members who have IDDs. They might be adults, they might be children. We do support all age groups, not just children.
Okay. For what it's worth, Palmetto Civitan International, if you go to civitan.org, you'll see it serves special needs people. Our particular chapter is especially partial towards children with autism. But as Dean Louise said, it's not an age, specific thing necessarily. Okay, every month we have a technology minute. This was suggested by West Columbia City Councilman Mike Green. He said, why not give a website something useful that's either very inexpensive or free. This month it's something called slack.com. Is anyone here using Slack right now? Okay, no, you are, okay. Okay, Slack is kind of like, would you say it's instant messaging for like your team, pretty much? You can like video chats and whatnot. So, I didn't know about this until 1 Million Cups. That was pretty interesting. But right now it does have a free plan for, I believe it's maximum 10 people, I think. Okay, above that, it's still pretty cheap. It's like $6.67 a month. So it's still very affordable. So if you're really looking to scale up your business and you have to keep in touch with your team members, take a look at something like Slack. Okay, our calendar of events is online, as I mentioned before. Okay, I'm going to go down some events that you may or may not want to write down because it'll be on a calendar on our website. As I mentioned before, this coming Saturday, at the same location, Eddie's and Jay's rehab project in is it Woodland subdivision. Okay, this is going to be the halfway point of their rehab project. Eddie's going to explain to us things like what did they not expect to happen, how did they fix it, things like that. What did they do to make the house as sellable as possible? So it's going to be free to all members and non-members who attended the January 25th one, because for one thing they paid $40, and also want to make sure that you get as complete as an education as possible. For non-members who didn't attend, we'll have to charge $40. That goes directly to Eddie Sabina, the contractor. Okay, and that's to help pay for his time. Right? And that's February 15th, this Saturday, if you're interested. Women in real estate. Okay, every third Saturday of each month, Stacy Pinckney holds a women in real estate meeting for 2 hours at the Piano Bread Company. The next one is February 15th. Again, this Saturday, same, it's just a little later in the day. This is for women only, right? And it's basically it's hard-charging people who are really getting into real estate and very determined to do so, and some have some pretty good experience as well. So consider going to that if you have time.
She has an assortment of people that come. So we have private lenders, we've got investors, we have wholesalers, anybody having to do with rehabbing or real estate investment, so all are welcome. Win.
Yeah. Okay, every third Tuesday of each month, Palmetto Real Estate Investors Network meets at Zorba's. Okay? John Branham comes down from Winsboro, and this guy's been investing for quite some time. He's a wealth of knowledge. Ken Holmes, same thing. Okay, Ken's doing commercial now. He's closing on a self-storage deal somewhere in Georgia, just outside of Atlanta. But this is something you also might want to consider going to if you want to rub elbows with some really experienced investors. This is, I guess if you're a beginner, go there, but a lot of these people are advanced. The next general meeting is February 18th, this coming Tuesday at Zorba's, okay? 6 to 8. It is a dinner meeting. Okay, Legal Shield Luncheon, okay, on February 20th, a week from this Thursday. Okay, Sarah Mitchell, our Legal Shield regional manager in the back, is holding a free luncheon. First time attendees get a free lunch, okay, at her office at the Spring Valley Common Plaza. All right. This is where she's going to go over how Legal Shield, well, it's going to be mainly a networking lunch. She's going to cover a little bit of how Legal Shield can help your business. I mentioned to some of you here, I'm using Legal Shield now very affordably, well, as a weapon. Okay, so I'm using it to get money from attorneys that I'd normally be paying for being sued. Anyway, so February 20th, Thursday, at Sarah's office, 11:45 a.m. to 1 p.m. if you can make it. And a week later, February 27th, now this is only for women, the Ladies of Justice. This is Sarah's office again at the Spring Valley Common Plaza at 8:45 a.m. to 10 a.m. Okay, Sarah's holding a coffee chat. This is it's a women's empowerment meeting, and there's going to be door prizes. Is that right? Okay, door prizes. And is one of them like the new car? Yeah. So anyway, so if you're a lady and you'd like to do some good networking, again, here's another one. Okay. Next meeting is February 27th on Thursday. Are you going to hold these monthly?
Yes.
Okay, they're going to be each month, by the way. Okay, Columbia Real Estate Investors Association, this is another REIA in the area. They meet every fourth Thursday of each month. In fact, one of the organizers, Rick Renner, is here now. Okay, so if you have any questions about Columbia REIA, Rick's the man to see. All right. Columbia REIA also has a range of investors from beginning to advanced. It's a dinner meeting at Zorba's, not Zorba's, Grecian Gardens. And it's a good bunch of investors to network with as well. Next meeting is February 27th, 7 p.m. at Grecian Gardens. Okay. You got it? Okay. And finally, Ladies Networking Lunch. Deborah Weiner holds this every last Friday of each month. This is, again, is only ladies, okay? Now, I was reading a forecast, there's a commercial real estate forecast. Apparently, single women are leading the charge for the economy at this time. So, anyway, this is for ladies only again, and it meets every last Friday, this one being February 28th. And at 1 p.m. at East Bay Deli. If you intend on going, please RSVP to Deborah. Let her know you're coming. All right? And again, just a reminder to check our calendar of events if you have any questions. If you have any questions or problems, just give me a call, okay? And I'll go over it with you. Oh yeah, one more thing. Right here, if you didn't write down that Facebook group, you know, where the deal flipping's occurring, it's also right on our web page in red there. Just click that, it'll redirect right to our Facebook group, okay? Now, before we go into the speaking here, okay, we're going to do our deal presentations. We've switched things around a little bit. Is that okay with everyone? Okay. Okay, who has a deal that they would like to present for sale? Or, yeah. Okay. Okay, come on up, Dawn.
Dawn Adams with Palmetto Real Estate Group. We do a lot of wholesaling around the area. I have a couple things. One in, first of all, thank you, Bob, because this group has just made everything so much better and easier, and I just love it. So this is a house in North Augusta. It is 2-bedroom, 2-bath. I don't really know that it's gonna, yeah, oh, I'm sorry, thanks, yeah. I don't really know that it's gonna fit into an investor portfolio, although I hope it would. I know that it would probably fit into somebody who wanted to own or occupy it. The seller is letting it go really for just about what he owes in the mortgage, so there's not a lot of room in there. The ARV on it is about $120,000. It probably needs about $30,000 in work. We're working on getting a new roof put on, which will substantially decrease that $30,000 in work. But there's been a leak in the roof, and so you can see there's a picture here where the ceiling is kind of coming in there. It's a cute floor plan, 2 bedrooms, 2 baths, about 1,200 square feet in a good neighborhood in North Augusta. North Augusta is a really great area for houses because we've got Fort Gordon across the way in Augusta, and so the real estate is all booming out there. So I have that, and then I also have this. Did I put them in here? I did. Okay. So then I've got a couple portfolios. Well, I've got this one portfolio here. And these are, I don't know if there are any builders around, but I've got 3 vacant lots here. Can you see that?
No, you're right.
Okay, I'm sorry. All right. Get out of the way of the projector. All right, so I've got these 3 vacant lots here. And so I've got 3 lots and a house for $33,000 for all 4 properties. The lots are all in incorporated areas. This first lot right here, it has an ARV. The houses in the area probably, they're not extremely high dollar houses, but this first lot here has a septic and a well already on it. And then in the ARVs, the houses in this area are about $50,000. This one is incorporated. The houses there are about $85,000. This lot here, the houses are selling closer to $200,000. So there's definitely money in this third lot. And then I've got this other house here that is in here, and this is the Aiken tax assessment. So the 3 lots are all in Lexington County, and this house here, which needs total rehab, is over in Monetta. And it's on about a quarter of an acre or half an acre or something like that. But it's $33,000 for all 4 properties. So if anyone is interested in these, let me know. I've also got a lot of lots coming up in the Savannah Lakes Golf Resort area. Enough for maybe some type of large builder to be able to go in and do something. So if anyone is interested, I have some flyers and or business cards, so just let me know. That's it for me today. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, is there anyone else who has a deal they'd like, me first? Come on up.
Hey guys, I don't want to take up too much of your time. My name is Hunter Wallace. I'm a student at the University of South Carolina, currently interning with the loan company Equity Max. So I don't necessarily have a live deal per se, which is why I don't want to take up too much of your guys' time, but we are the kind of nation's leader in hard money. Yeah, I can pass these out right after I'm done speaking, but this is kind of, so this is kind of a flyer you guys can see. A little bit more. So we're a family-owned, operated business based out of Fort Lauderdale. We're kind of looking to improve our presence in the Carolinas, and kind of like what our target market would be if you need money in a crunch with very low invasion that you would see maybe with a more typical bank loan, and then maybe a high turnover for that loan. So we're looking for loans in the short term, less than 1 year, and to be able to finance, we are very, very family oriented and community focused. Like I mentioned, the 2 phone numbers that are at the top that you can't see exactly right now are the father-son combination that run and own this business. It's all their own family money. They've been in the industry since about the 1990s. And you know, just if you don't think you'll need this loan now, this year, maybe even the next 2 years, this is always a great thing to kind of have in your arsenal. www.equitymax.com. If this is of interest to anyone, I would love to. I have business cards and flyers in the back. Yep, right back there on the table. Would you guys mind raising your hand just so?
Your flyers are all on.
Okay, great. Would anyone else that has got a flyer like a flyer? I would love to. It'll probably be most efficient at least some back there. So would you guys mind giving me like a raise of hand so I could just leave some back there? Will probably be the easiest route. Awesome. And then I would really like to collect your anyone's business card that might be interested in this opportunity. Again, you know, I can put you in direct contact with the family, and they can answer many more questions than I can about loan specifics, things like that. So if it's okay with you, I can probably just come around and collect business cards if you guys wanted to hold one out. And then if not, like I said, all the information will be on the back table. Thank you guys for listening. I really appreciate it.
What's the website again?
www.equitymax.com. And that'll be on the business card and flyer I can leave in the back. And yeah, if anyone does have any business cards, I think this is something they might be interested in. Yeah, of course.
Thanks, Hunter.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, you got it, Is it okay, Ted?
Hello, good evening, everyone. My name is Tarina with Savvy Virtual Solutions, and we actually have several properties right now. I am going to start with this property in Augusta, Georgia. How do I zoom in on here, Bob? Do I just bring it down?
Yeah, you gotta bring that camera down.
Ooh, that's not all that clear.
You can hit this. Should autofocus. That's okay.
Let me let it go.
Is that it?
Okay, cool beans. This property is in Augusta, Georgia, 3-bedroom, 1 bath. The ARV on it is about really can't see that, 252. It's a really nice property. I'm gonna try to get in on some of the pictures here. It's a nice brick house, a nice corner lot, manicured lawn. The work on the inside is that's really not very good. But I have an awesome summer reports for these properties. It's again 3-bedroom, 2-bath house, all 1 level brick house. Really just cosmetic, maybe update the kitchen, but it can be a revenue generating immediately without doing the updates. Rent is about $1,500 a month on that one. And let me come back out of here. Right now we actually have about 20 properties, but I'm gonna just try to hit just our newest ones on here. This one is in Columbia, has an ARV 135.4. It's a nice little ranch house built in 2003. We're only asking $86,000 for it. Comes with just over an acre of land. Most of it is wooded, but it's all street fronted, so that if you wanted to build something else out, you can do it, or have a rental in, and they don't have to do the maintenance for the yard because of the woods. This is not that great, but this one has beautiful wood floors in it. Again, it's been cleaned out really well. It's also could be revenue generated immediately, or can do some feature updates for it. Oh, wrong button. Come on back here. I have this one is in Spartanburg, South Carolina. It's a nice, actually 2.5 bath, long-term tenant, but they are aware about relocating. This one is only about 20 minutes from a park. I'm trying to think of the name of the park. It's written up here. It's about 20 minutes from USC Upstate Campus and about 20 minutes from the Crawford State Park. Really nice neighborhood, off street parking, a nice lot for a small family. It does need some repairs. We're estimating maybe around $30,000. It has a new roof, but they didn't fix the soffits on it, so that repair work would need to be done. This one will need some updates, but the furnace, sorry, I'm from up north. The HVAC are in good working conditions and have been reconditioned every year. So that's a really nice property that we have right there. And anyone who's interested in our properties, I'm not going to take up all the time. You can reach out to me and I can give you access to our active folder that we have on our drive, so you can view them all. We have North, South Carolina, Georgia, Alabama, and Virginia. But just reach out to me afterwards. I'll hang around and you guys can show me what you're interested in. We can all do some great business together. Thank you. Torina. I'll be here. Thank you.
Sorry about that.
All right, hello everyone. I'm Ted Perry with Intrepid Property Solutions. For anyone that's looking for a good rental to have, I've got a property at 6510 David Street, which is turning off on me. This is a 3-bed, 1.5 bath. And it's kind of unique because it's got the bathroom with it's got the shower and tub, and then a half bath off of each side. So one side going into the master bedroom, the other side going into the living room. House is in really good condition. It's an inherited home. Will need a roof at some point. And there's a soft spot in the kitchen floor. Other than that, I mean, it's move-in ready. Once we close, it's really good property. We're asking $40,000 for that one. And then I'm going to invite JD to come up here to talk about this next one that we have. Basically, it's 2 double wides on 5 acres out in Lexington.
5.25 acres in Lexington. Hey, the .25 matters, right? Okay, it's like an eighth more, right? By the way, before I get started too much, there's open chairs. Is anybody sitting here? She's lonely. She needs people to sit by her. Somebody wants to come up here and sit. There's chairs here. There's a chair there. There's 2 chairs there. There's a chair here, a chair there, a chair there. There's 3 chairs there. We're running out of chairs. I mean, everybody that's coming in late can't just sit at the back, even though I'm going to. Don't judge. Anyway, the deal is there's 2 mobile homes on it. Right now it is 1 lot that can be subdivided. The front mobile home is very nice. It's about 2,000 square feet, so it's not like what you're thinking, like I was thinking mobile home whenever we first heard about this. It's a nice mobile home. I would update it. We do, if nobody else wants to buy this, we do plan on buying this property. We're just offering it to everybody else in case somebody else wants to make the money instead of us. And our agent gave us, and I have the comps, it's actually later in the email. Your phone went off. Yeah. We have the comps. The front lot, if you comp that out with that mobile home, it comes out to about 170 just for the front lot, the front half of the acreage, if that makes sense. You guys follow me? Am I making sense? And then the back half would be about 150 for the back half of that lot. So if you're doing those math, you add up 170 plus 150, it's more than 300, right? Do we all agree with that? Okay. So anyway, it's good. That would be what we would use as the ARV. That's what we plan on doing. We plan on fixing them up and making sure they're detitled, making sure that the survey's done properly, and cutting it in half, and we should make a strong margin on that. Obviously, with this, there's 5 acres that it is in Lexington. You can add additional trailers if you so choose to. Currently, there's 2 wells, 2 septics, 2 power poles, so everything is already separated. You could add more. The front part of the property is all cleared. It's all grass. It's really easy to add a home. Obviously, that's going to devalue the homes a little bit. Land value is about 10 grand an acre right in there. So we noticed that comps with 3 acres sold for about 20,000 more than ones with 1 acre, right? So if you wanted to make it like a mobile home park where everybody has 1 acre, you could do that. It would actually be really nice because the homes are already like 100 yards apart. So it would be that would be kind of a cool long-term project, divided up into more sections and make $1 million or whatever. You could obviously put 2 per acre in Lexington, but that's going to be a substantial amount of work. But seriously, you can make like $1 million on it. So anyway, that's that deal. It's a little bit interesting, but as it sits now, you can just cut it in half, fix the houses and sell it. 170.
Are the double wides original to the land?
Original to the land?
Have they ever been moved?
God did not make these double wides. That would be sweet. Jesus himself just reached down and was like, on the 8th day.
They were bought put on that land.
Sir?
Have they ever been moved since they were put on that land?
I don't think so. And they all look like the double wides are placed properly. All the underpaint, the hitch has been taken off. I didn't like look under it to see if there's tires, but there's not. It doesn't look like a trailer. It looks like a house to me. I'm just a dude, okay? They do currently have title, but Rich Bolin, our attorney, says that I asked him about detailing them. I'm like, how do you detail a mobile home? And I was asking him, he's like, dude, it's real easy. I'll do it. I'll help you do it real quick. It's not hard. We looked it up on the DMV website, and it didn't look hard. That's why I called Rich, because I was like, this looks easy, but people say it's hard. And he said, no, what you're telling me with it being a double wide, it's got like new HVACs on each one that are on the land, right? They're not window units or anything. It's actually fully attached. It does have a well per each. You guys might know more about this than I do currently as far as detailing mobile homes, but he said it wouldn't be an issue. So anyway, I think there's a huge profit potential here.
I've sold a lot of them with FHA loans, but they have to be, like, if they've ever been moved before, then it affects the resale value.
Yeah, I don't think that they have.
Conventional.
I think that they went to that land. So. Yeah, the hitch is missing. I mean, if you look under the skirting. On the what?
The county.
I don't think it's detitled yet.
A brick foundation, it will be detitled.
It is not on a brick foundation. It has skirting around it, but Rich said that it doesn't have to inherently be on a brick foundation, although that does definitely help.
In order to get financing, it has to have a brick foundation. Foundation is not the same as the skirt.
Right.
Foundation is the piers.
Foundation is technically the piers, not the brick around the outside either.
Exactly, it's
right.
the piers.
Just so you guys
It
know.
has to be certified by the Corps of Engineers in order to pass the FHA financing.
Yes.
That the title means that they will have to verify that, and the county becomes the sanitary one with the land. And now it's attached to the land and you cannot move it. Correct?
Yes.
That's what it means.
Yes.
I'll close them without brick.
What she said. That's what Rich said he could do. I'm not trying to be the sharpest person. I'm just saying that.
What was the address? I missed it.
331
Pond
Branch Road.
Oh.
With an echo. That was a good echo, right? Anyway, any other questions?
If anybody wants to know anything else about those either one of these properties or wants to see more pictures, let me know, and I can get you the email with the links and everything.
You have a card you'd like to put in?
Sure.
There's still only onesie, twosie seats here.
Upside.
Ted's phone number is 803-335-5087. You're welcome to contact me as well. But my card number's not up there, so you're just going to have to memorize my number. My number's Party98. P-A-R-T-Y-98. That is truly my number. You're welcome to text it. It's 727-8998. So we also buy houses, not just from sellers, but from wholesalers and stuff too. And if you guys have issues getting rid of houses or something that you got under contract you guys got questions with, feel free to reach out to either Ted or I, and we'll help you narrow through it and figure out what offer price you want to make or whatever, because we do rehab houses, so we can give you all of the different numbers to put in your sheet or whatever. We can help you negotiate the deal.
Your name?
My name's JD, like John Deere. Everybody, if you don't tell them like John Deere, they're like Jack Daniels? And I'd rather be associated with John Deere than Jack Daniels. I'm not an alcoholic. No offense to alcoholics. They're so easily offended.
He's going to get you the floor. Somebody needs a
Okay, thanks, Ted and JD. Is there anyone else who has a deal they'd like to? I'm going to do yours last because that way I can unhook the camera and plug this in. Okay. Come on up.
gonna start by saying like this whole thing about raising money is for me. I tried to raise money and like jump into it this last month and failed really bad. So, and ended up losing a deal that I was buying to flip. But then the next week, this deal fell in my lap, and I ended up getting it subject to on the lake 2 days before it was going to sell on the courthouse steps. So I found out about it on a Sunday from a guy that was trying to start with wholesaling and didn't know what he was doing. He was interested in subject twos, and I talked to him off a Craigslist ad. And the next day I met him for breakfast at Cracker Barrel and went out and looked at this deal and met with this guy. He had his water cut off, no sewer, was about to have his power cut off Friday, and had until 2 o'clock on Friday last week, or maybe the week before he had to have $22,000 to reinstate his loan. And we ended up putting it under contract subject to, gave him a second lien for some of the equity, and worked out a deal with him to be out within 30 days, and he gets a lump sum of cash when he moves out, $20,000. So we ended up negotiating with him. I didn't exactly know how much it was worth. I was thinking like $850 to $950. We got it all in for around, all debt, including private money I raised, was about $620,000, and ended up getting comps from 3 other realtors on the lake that say that they expect the resale value to be $1.2 million. So, but this is some of the inside. It's kind of like a duplex. Like one side of it's 2-bedroom, 2-bath apartment upstairs, and it's made to replicate a 50s diner on that side. So that particular side I've already got possession to, and locked him out of that side, and I'm putting it up on Airbnb this week to kind of like generate income until then, until he's out by the end of the month. And then we're going to set the other side up that way and either refinance it or sell it if I sell it before then.
Did you introduce yourself?
I'm Andrew. I'm a realtor, and yeah, I also do this subject twos mostly. So
Where is that again?
it's in Irma. The address is 94 Muskrat Run. If you look it up, it's 6,000 square feet roughly. It's 5965. It was originally bought for $430, I think, by the guy this guy inherited it from, and before he loses it all. And then they had an addition done that they have receipts for and everything, all in with the addition plus how much they bought it for was about $820,000. So I don't know. We've kind of went back and we started off asking $850 and started getting a lot of interest, and then we got everything in order to be able to flip it. And it doesn't really need anything but like the front. It needs like a little bit of repair work done to the driveway. And then it needs roughly about 2,000 square foot of carpet is going to have to be replaced. And then paint in the basement on one side. So,
What was the address again?
94 Muskrat Run. Yep. And if I don't have the CMA with me, but if I can put my card up, and if anybody emails me or whatever, reaches out to me, texts me, I can send a CMA report and also supporting the comps. So this right here is the sunroom on the top, where on that apartment on that one side. So I'm gonna show you the pictures and I can kind of talk through it. This is the diner. So it's got a pool table. I'll kind of hustle him for all his furniture too. So everything on this one side is staying.
You're blind.
Oh, my bad. I'm sitting here talking about it. I don't know where to get it. I'll get right there. Yeah. My bad.
I would be that excited too.
Yeah. It was pretty cool. Like I couldn't believe it. But it came from networking. So this is the diner. You can kind of see. I don't know if I got better pictures. But all the equipment, everything in there, it's just like a full kitchen. All this stuff up on the wall, everything, all that staying. So in the bottom, when you're coming off the lake, you can go on the left side if you're coming off the lake. It's 2 different sides. So on the left side when you're coming off the lake, which is a big dock and a boat ramp and 4 boat slips also. You come off on this bottom level, it stays open, but you can walk in there. There's like a laundry room, like two wash machines and 2 dryers, which is also staying. And then male and female restrooms on each side with stalls, a urinal in the male restroom, and dressing rooms. and there's a shower, like you can stand on and pull the chain for the, like wash your feet or whatever. So that's the sunroom, diner. That's a shop on the on the basement level on the lake side of the house. I'll try and talk about what some of the stuff is as I go through it. But that's where you go in on the bottom level, the male and female restrooms. It's 6 bedrooms and 8 bathrooms. So this is just one side of the house. Where that garage is, that was the original. It was originally the garage, and then there's the whole house to the left. And that on the right side was the whole addition. The middle level, when you go through that door right there, it goes right into the diner. And then you go up those stairs and there's a 2-bedroom, 2-bath apartment. Those aren't my cars though. This is off that sunroom that I had a picture of a while ago. This is a private balcony from that apartment. So that's the dock. You can kind of see like the slips right here and the ramp and his half-sunken boat that I don't know the full story of.
You did a separate too?
Yep. So these are the bedrooms in the apartment, and the bathrooms. I'm trying to get through. So you can see right there, that's on the lake side. The bathrooms on the bottom, diner in the middle, apartment on top. All right, now we're in his side. This is the like living quarters, I guess you'd say. That's where he's living at. He's got this counted as 1 bedroom and it's taxed as a bedroom, but it's really more like, you know, like for a bedroom you have to have a closet and an egress window, but the closet's really like a sunroom, and this is technically like an executive office. It's just bookshelves all around it, and that's what it was used for. The garage, 2-car garage. That's a living room. That's an open floor plan. It does have granite already in there, hardwood floors, and tile. All that is really nothing needs to be done. And the biggest thing that needs to be done is going down these steps to the basement. It pretty much needs paint, repainted all through there, and it needs the carpet needs replaced. There's a bathroom that needs to be finished. So, total, depending on how you finish it, I'd say that it probably needs about $20,000 in rehab, with carpet, paint, the bathroom, and the driveway. This deck, depending on what you want to do, it could use being like restained, but it's not terrible. There's just some spots. That's the house before it was added onto. That's the bathroom I was talking about. Everything in there needs to be put back. Like, he started to renovate it and never finished. That's where most of the money, in my opinion, that's where most of the money's gonna go. And that's the basement. It's a den and 2 bedrooms, 2 baths down there. And the office again, porch. That's the dining room. So this right here is like a better picture of everything on the main floor. That's the living room right here, and then there's dining room, kitchen, and there's no, on the whole front, it's nothing but French doors. There's probably 4 or 5 French doors on the front. 1 from a bedroom, 2 from the living room, 1 from the dining room, and then 1 from the diner. So. But if you knew somebody, like if you know somebody looking for a house like that, like most of the people I've been talking to so far that are interested in it, we're probably going to end up selling it. If we end up selling it, it's still going to be like have some equity in it, but be something kind of quick, like a quick flip for us, so we still make a good amount of money. And we're looking like between $950,000 to $1 million with some people that we're talking to right now, 10 to 20 people. I'm trying to wait until the guy's out of there before I show it and like clean it up and everything, get more value out of it. But we'd accept an offer too before then. If somebody's interested. So yeah, I'll be calling you. I already thought about calling you. Come clean it.
Okay, is there anyone else, or we up to the last one? Dean Reese? Okay, if I could just say one thing, okay? These flyers that are on your chair, please take one. I mean, this is a shelf life here, okay? I mean, this is about the Luncheon and the Ladies of Justice coffee chat. So after the 20th and 27th, they expire. So you might as well take it, even if you're just gonna throw it out, at least take it.
I just want to put that up there. So.
Okay, because I don't have to pick up all the paper afterwards. Okay. There's some sticky stuff all over this thing. It's nasty. Okay. Okay.
Let's see, Archie.
Oh, no. Okay, let me,
Trade places.
okay.
Before I forget again, if anybody was handed a name tag, please turn them in before you leave. And those of you who did not get a name tag and are members, I will try to make them up before the next meeting. Sorry.
You know, mine says Duncan Weirman.
I burned those.
Okay. Do you want the PowerPoint one, or do you want the?
Either one, it doesn't matter. It's not, yeah, it's publisher, not PowerPoint.
Oh, yeah, okay.
This is painful.
Am I doing that? Is it under the, oh, thank you, appreciate
You just scroll. Okay, so I have a plot of land. It's 3.65 acres. It has a double-wide mobile home that had a fire. Interesting story. I put signs out Friday night, Saturday morning she called me. Her house had burned down Friday. I drove up, and from the front, like, it doesn't look that bad. She told me it burned down. But it does. It's really sad because it was built in 2018. It's brand new. Go ahead, next slide. There's the fire damage. It was an electrical fire that started from the stove connector apparently, and spread through other parts of the house. This is the absolute worst of it. I don't know if it can be rebuilt or renovated, but if anyone would like to try, you're welcome to. Next slide. These rooms, so that's the master bath at the top. It's the second bath in the middle, and then there are 3 bedrooms. And you can see some of them just had damage from the ceiling where the firemen had to go in and cut to keep the fire from spreading to the other rooms for the electrical. Next slide. I'm asking $30,000. It is on 3.65 acres. It's right off of Fairview Road in Batesburg. So if anybody knows somebody that's looking for land, or anybody wants to try their hand at saving the mobile home, have them give me a call, please. That's it.
Okay.
Did you receive insurance on that?
Yes. Yes.
Is that in the county or the?
County. County. It is out of the city lines. It is, if you're taking 20 down, exit 39, instead of going right to Batesburg, you go left towards Pelion.
Okay, is there anyone else who has a deal they'd like to present, or tell us what you're looking for, or maybe a success story? Okay, well, if not, we're gonna going to our main topic here. Let me, okay, as you look around the room here, there's actually plenty of money here in this room. I know, for example, this Adrian, Mark, and Morgan are two of the more prolific private lenders, local private lenders in the area. Okay? Generally, they're the first place that a lot of people go to, the people who know them, when they need to have a deal funded. There's also other money in this room here, right? So don't think that there's a shortage of money. People want to get their money into play. All right? Adrian has her fingers on the pulse pretty much of what almost all private lenders feel safe lending at. So she's going to teach us numbers tonight and make private lenders feel comfortable enough to lend to us. They lend in several states right now, not just South Carolina. And they lend, as you can see, on a variety of properties from single family to commercial. And again, it all comes down to making them feel safe enough to lend on your deal. And they do rehab loans and equity loans. And without further ado, let's please give her a welcome.
Okay. Good evening. How's everybody doing? Great. All right, awesome. I know a lot of you, and some of you I don't know, but that's okay. We're going to talk about something I'm labeling the Rehab Stack. That may be a new term that I'm coining tonight. I based it on the capital stack. I've heard that term used before for commercial properties. So it refers to the layers of financing that were involved to get that deal funded. So I think the analogy is we're going to talk about the layers of expenses associated with a renovation project and all the pieces that you need to consider. So feel free to interrupt me anytime with questions. I really don't mind at all. That's not a problem. I may get to the answer you were looking for shortly, but go ahead and ask the question. First of all, let me cover all the disclaimer stuff, right? Got to make sure I'm covered, not getting in trouble. This is just an overview. I really don't even have a lot of hard numbers in here, but this is an overview of a fix and flip example. It's not an offer for funding. Please always consult your attorney, accountant, and or tax professional when considering a real estate investment, and do your own due diligence before making any purchase. Everybody got that?
Yeah.
Okay, that's just good common sense. Okay, so that's me. Notice it's Adrian with one N. I'm like only the second person I know of that spells it that way. Okay, so my husband and I started in this real estate game as rehabbers. That was our original thought, was we would buy, fix up some properties and resell them. We started in '09. It's a great time to buy houses, not a great time to sell a house. So we bought a couple, sold one or two of them, ended up becoming unintentional landlords when we couldn't sell a couple of those. And then we decided we really didn't like being rehabbers or landlords. So we evolved into private lending and started doing that later in 2009. And so what we do now is we basically review estimates for anybody who wants to buy a property. So if I have someone approach me with a deal, I need to see their numbers so that I can decide whether it's actually going to work or not. So this whole topic came up because we've had some requests recently from newer borrowers that might have gotten in trouble if they had proceeded with the loan the way they originally presented it to me. So trying to educate everybody and help everybody understand how this rehab stack plays out. So I'm going to start with an example. Is this a good deal? Let's assume that I'm telling you the ARV is $150,000. The purchase price is going to be $40,000, and you could estimate $30,000 for rehab. How many people would sign on for that?
Is that the house?
No.
Yes. It's detached from real property.
That's not the house. Don't, okay. We're gonna keep using this house as our example, but that's not actually a problem.
Well, you just said that newer rehabbers would have gotten themselves in trouble. I thought that the trick was that it's got a huge hole in the roof and it would cost more than $30,000 to fix that house.
And it has a crack there.
Well, this is what we're here to talk about, JD.
That got holes.
This is, it's got all kinds of
I think I
problems.
sold that house to somebody.
Maybe so. So it seems like it might be a really good deal, right? The rehabber would be probably expected to make a profit on this. How much?
$80,000.
Okay, if you just do the math, right? $150,000 for after repair value, minus the $40,000, minus the $30,000, you're left with $80,000 potentially for profit, right? Where are my rehabbers in the ring? I know I got some. Yes. Okay. Is that true?
No.
Okay. This is why I want y'all to help me with this. Okay. The folks who rehab, I want you to help talk through some of these examples because they know this is not an $80,000 profit waiting to happen. Okay. What else do we need to know? This is why we're going to talk through the rehab stack. There are some more categories of costs that we need to consider when we're thinking through this deal. So the rehab stack kind of helps us think about all the costs that might be associated with a project. It helps the rehabber keep track of how they're budgeting their money and making sure they have those set aside for those extra categories. It also gives our wholesalers some perspective. Maybe the contractors, maybe the real estate agents, some perspective about the real profit potential for that deal. Because my other concern that I'm seeing lately is that the wholesalers might be getting a little greedy, might be trying to maximize their profit out of the deal, but that might come at the expense of the rehabber's profit, and it might not lead to a long-term relationship working with that rehabber. So I'm trying to give everybody a better perspective on how this works. So as we're going through these examples, I'm probably going to give you some worst case scenarios. It's not that every category applies for every project. Every project is different, so some will apply and some won't. So this is what I consider to be the components of what I'm calling the rehab stack. We have the after repair value. We also have purchasing costs, and we'll talk through what each of these categories includes. We have the renovation costs. Right, so you're kind of familiar with those. There are also holding costs that are time-based, okay, and that can really start to add up over time. We have resale costs. Everybody's going, what? Wait a minute, it costs money to resell a house? Yes, it costs money to resell that property. And then finally, you're left with the profit. All of these pieces are important for a rehabber to understand, and I really do think the wholesalers need to understand these as well. So typically, when people are presenting deals at this meeting, they'll come up and they'll tell us the after repair value, the purchase price, and the rehab estimate, right? That's the three pieces of information you normally get. But can the rehabber really make an informed decision with only that information? I mean, they're still doing the math in their heads, I promise. They're trying to figure out the other pieces because they know there's more to the picture. So let's talk about each one individually. The after repair value, ARV, is an estimate of what the property is going to be worth after those repairs are finished. So we can get that from maybe a real estate agent, hopefully, or an appraiser, potentially. If you want to invest that kind of money on the front end. We're gonna try to look for that realistic value. We don't want it to be artificially high or artificially low. We really kind of want to understand where that house will sell after it's finished. So we need to know some information. We need to know about nearby comparable sales. That's a whole nother topic. We could probably spend an hour talking about what is a comparable sale. In general, what is a comparable sale? Where's my real estate agents? Celia? Yes, what's a comparable sale?
A sale that is property that's sold within right now with the market that we have within the 3 to 6 months, and it has to be within 25% of the square footage own the property and within 10 years of the property. So,
So the
meaning
size of-
age of the property.
So the
That's
size of the
distance.
house, size of the house matters, the age of the house matters, the location of the house
And the
matters.
distance, it has to be, we start with a half a mile, and we don't find anything within a half a mile, we extend to 1 mile. After 1 mile, we have to start explaining to why we need to do that. And that usually happens when you have rural property. When you have rural property, then you can go 10 miles, but the appraiser will have to have a notation of why you wanna do that. And that becomes tricky, so. In areas like very homogeneous, it's very easy to find comps. In areas like downtown Columbia, it's a pain in the beat.
So here's the question, do listings count as comps? No. I will not, I can't tell you how many times people send me listings, active listings, as comps. Those are not comps, okay? What's a listing?
Something that didn't sell.
It's a wish. It's a hope and a prayer that it's gonna sell for that price. That is not an actual sale. That means nothing to me. I ignore those immediately.
The
So,
only thing that the listings give you as a comparison is to see how much property are selling or are for sale around you in the market and the area is saturated.
sure.
That's what it gives you an idea of it. And also give you an idea, you have 20 area properties and 2 marketable properties, you have a problem.
Right.
So you need to see what, but it's not a comparison of how it will close, it's just what is around there.
Yep. So be careful. I think there's some confusion about what a true comparable is. So those are all criteria to keep in mind. We also want to know about market conditions. Is the market rising? Are prices going up in general for Columbia? Or are they starting to level out? Or are they starting to fall? So that matters too, because guess what? These rehab projects don't take place overnight. I mean, it might take 3 to 6 months to get it done. So the market can change in 3 to 6 months. Which direction is it headed? And then finally, the planned renovations. What are you going to do with that house? You know, are you going to put in basic Formica countertops? Are you going to put in granite? Are you going to put in something else? You know, what is your level of finish that you're planning for that property? All those things kind of factor into this after repair value. So, and the other thing I want to remind you is the actual sale price could be higher, but it could also be lower than that after repair value. There's no guarantee that it's going to sell for exactly that price. Okay, next piece of the rehab stack, purchasing costs. So you know about the purchase price. That usually includes your earnest money. There also need to tack in the wholesaling fees for those of you who are buying from wholesalers. Inspection costs if you have someone look at the property prior to the purchase. There can be loan costs depending on your source of money for this deal. There's a whole host of things that could come into play there. I threw a couple of these crazy ones in there because those pop up every now and then. Why would you ever have to pay off someone else's prior lien or judgment? To get the property free and clear, to get clear title. Right? If you want it badly enough, maybe it's an estate sale, and guess what? The prior owner had a judgment against them. If you want that house, you may have to pay that off. You don't always have to. You might walk away from that deal, but that might be something else that pops up as you're getting ready to close. Of course, you might need to put down a down payment. You might have to bring taxes up to date. That's a common thing I see. Of course, there are attorney's fees and expenses associated with the closing itself. And then there's title insurance to make sure that you know that you have some right to own that property. So all those things kind of get captured in the purchasing costs. Renovation costs include things like the actual materials and labor for making those changes and upgrades that you're planning. Also things like building permits, inspections, contractor license fees. Who was it? Was it Irmo that was doing that? Do y'all do renovations in Irmo? Irmo they weren't necessarily charging building fees anymore, but they were charging contractor license fees. So guess what? What's that?
Dumpster fees in the town of Irma.
Dumpster fee,
By the
yeah.
way.
Dues.
In other words,
Yes.
Officer Stokes will let you know what you owe.
Yeah, we have the lovely code enforcement people who come around to check and look in on your project, make sure you're doing things by the book. So there can be all sorts of other fees. There's landscaping, there's equipment rentals if you need to rent something that's a heavier duty piece of equipment, trash disposal, things like that become, it's not just always the tile and the carpet and the labor to put that stuff in. Okay, next big category. This is one of the ones I think most people aren't very comfortable with. This is holding costs. This is all those expenses associated with keeping that property for the 3 to 6 months that you have it and you're renovating. So you're typically going to want some sort of hazard insurance policy. This would be like a fire policy if you lived in the house as an owner occupant. It'd probably be cheaper. If you're insuring a vacant dwelling, it's going to be more expensive. Why? Nobody's there, right? Higher risk. They're gonna charge you some more money because there's a higher risk of something going wrong. But that's always gonna. I know some people want to take a shortcut too on this one, by the way. Some people want to take a shortcut and get a tenant policy for that vacant house. That's a bad idea. Because I've heard of situations, and it hasn't happened to me, but I've heard of situations where the insurer, if in case of a claim, will come in and investigate. They'll talk to the neighbors. They don't just rely on your word for it. They'll talk to the neighbors and ask the neighbors, how long has it been since someone lived in that house? If the answer is more than 30 days, that insurer may deny that claim. So it's basically a worthless policy. Does you no good to have a tenant policy on a vacant dwelling. So make sure you got the right kind of insurance in place to protect you and your investment in that house. You've also got things like utilities. Electricity, gas, water. You gotta turn on electricity, you gotta have the water going in order to do the renovations usually. We personally got socked with a sewer bill that I wasn't expecting once upon a time. That was a house over in the Northeast. We never had gotten a bill. I didn't think it was a big deal until we got to closing, and the attorney had checked with Richland County to see if there was any outstanding sewer charge. And there was, not only for the 6 months that we owned the house, but also for the prior year that someone else had owned it before we got to it. So we were able to negotiate down to maybe 3 months worth of sewer charges, but still, we had to catch that up. So be on the lookout for things like that.
How did you miss that the first time, out of curiosity? Yep, you don't want to talk about it.
I'm not going to throw anybody under the bus.
All right, never mind.
But the attorney that handled the closing when we purchased the property missed that.
That just
It happens.
heard it will happen, because that had happened that to me about 3-4 times in the last year.
I mean, it happens. That's one of the things that people forget
I'm not
about.
talking about a long time ago. I've been doing real estate for a while, so this is not only for my property.
Right.
It's for my own properties, foreclosures and other properties and NISA. Also I found out that, I don't remember which one it is, but somewhere over there in the Northeast, one of the sewer companies, they charge you $300 for disconnecting the sewer.
Wow.
And I was like, excuse me?
Yeah.
What is, oh no, it's only about $300. I'm like, okay, and what is this other $300 and something here? Oh, it's a disconnection fee. I'm like, excuse me? You're charging me $350 for disconnecting something that I never disconnected? Okay then.
Gold plated too?
Yes.
Yeah. I was like, oh.
How do you disconnect the sewer?
They had a quick stop.
Fail to pay. If you fail to pay your, yeah, I was about to say, if you fail to pay your sewer bill, they will cut you off, and it's not pleasant when they do that. So just.
Oh, and another thing, Lexington County, if you leave the property unoccupied and vacant for more than 30 days, they go and take out the meter for the water. and then you have to pay them to put the meter back in. So be careful on that one, because that happened several times. When we had the downturn and I have builders having the properties vacant, they went and took the meters out.
And
They're
that's
so,
Lexington County. Have you encountered that anywhere else?
no, only Lexington County, that's,
Yeah, in Lexington County, I just had it happen last week. $300 to put the meter back, because the tenant that was living there, we didn't know they were living there with no water for over 90 days, and they took our meter.
they took the meter, they just take the meter, they don't tell you, they don't go anything, they just grab the meter out.
These are the kind of,
$300.
that's why we're having this conversation, folks, so you can be aware of these types of issues. Okay, so that's a doozy. Keep an eye on that one. I put security expenses in here because if you're going to have a property vacant for a while, sometimes that becomes an issue of having some sort of security in place. Not always, but sometimes. Homeowner association fees, I got a rude awakening with that too. It's the same house over in the Northeast that they hadn't paid the sewer for. We also got a nasty gram from the attorney that was handling the collections for the homeowner association dues. So I think the homeowner association dues were maybe $500. The attorney fee was like $1,500 on top of that. So just ask. Go ahead and start asking about those things. Is there a homeowner association, and how do they charge fees, and how much is it? If it's a condo, it might be called a regime fee or monthly maintenance fees, thing like that. And then, of course, as a lender, this is my personal favorite, the loan fees that also start to add up over time. Right? It helps me, but it's not necessarily great for the borrowers. So interest, points, renewal fees, all those things start to add up. And what I want you to realize is the higher the renovation budget probably means you're going to spend more time doing all those repairs and upgrades, which is going to increase the time that you're holding that property and increase your holding costs. So if the renovation budget's going up, your holding costs are going up too. They kind of go in conjunction. Okay, now let's talk resale costs. Because we do have to ultimately sell this property when we're finished. So there might be things like staging fees or equipment or furniture rentals if you're going to stage the house. You might have marketing costs if you're trying to market it yourself. This one's, oh man, this still annoys me. Buyer's closing costs. Why is that on there? I'm the seller. Why do I care about buyer's closing costs? Has anybody gotten a contract offer lately that did not include you as the seller needing to contribute to the buyer's closing costs?
There's been some, but it's very rare, and it happens because right now there's the greatest something fund that the county is having, the state, so they give them $15,000 for closing costs of down payment.
Okay. Well, if they can get that, then that's great.
That one, part of the scheme fund, something fun.
Okay.
I do that, that's only loans I do.
But that's, those ones, the hardest gift is because they're $15,000, they can use that, so you use that money to negotiate a house that you know is getting, because usually those houses are under 120 or around that ways, so they go fast. That's your negotiation to get it out there. But otherwise, yeah.
Yeah, most every contract that's written these days expects you as the seller to pay for some of the buyer's closing costs. Sometimes it's $2,000, $3,000, $4,000. Just
I always expect $5,000. Like anytime I'm talking to a seller before listing the property or something, I always tell them to expect $5,000.
Yeah, I think it's safe to go in with that expectation. So
They can include other fees in that, right? Agents?
yeah.
No, it's up to 6%. FHA allows that up to 6%, and it's allowable and non-allowable. The only ones that require something that has to be paid by the buyer and it will not allow them to go to where the closing cost is the USDA loan, and VA. VA does not allow certain things to go to where bills cost paid by the buyer, by the seller. Those are the only few, and they have a restriction, and this is when sometimes the buyer gets upset because it has a limit of how much money, because they have to put something of their own pocket, out of their pocket, so that it's limited, and even if the seller says, I'm gonna give you $4,000, the limit is limited to $3,000, and they don't care. That $1,000 does not go back to the buyer in any way or form. It goes back to the seller.
But she's right, it does depend on the loan.
The appraisal, pest control.
Yeah,
You know.
yeah, could be several other types of fees, survey, things like that. Yes. Okay, so lots of issues around that. That can be a big chunk, honestly. Real estate commissions, 6%, right? 6% of the sale price typically. Punch list repairs, if the buyer's inspector goes through and finds things that they want to get repaired before they'll complete the purchase, you have to fix those. Of course, there's property taxes, nobody likes those, but you have to essentially give the buyer a credit for the property tax that would have accrued on that property during the time period that you as the seller owned it. So that portion of the year, you're essentially paying that tax by giving the buyer a credit for that.
I'm gonna give you a tip on that one.
Yes.
Because that's a good tip. Very few, the contracts now, because the county reverted to 6% when they do the taxes, no matter what. But you need to write in the contract that proration of the taxes will be done at the buyer's occupant rate. That will lower the amount that is prorated against you. But if you don't put that in there, the default is at 6%.
Yep.
So make sure that your agent always put that in the remarks and it's in the contract, in anywhere form.
As an investor seller,
Yeah.
Yes.
Investor seller.
As an investor seller.
As a seller.
You put it in the owner-occupied.
Yeah, as an owner
I
occupant
didn't know
rate.
which letter to speak.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, you're buying a property, you want a 6%, you want to have that credit back.
Right. Okay, plus there are these lovely things called stamps and recording fees that show up on the settlement statement. You've probably paid all your subs and contractors along the way, but if there are any outstanding mechanics liens and judgments against you, those have to be settled at closing as well. So all those things could come into play. A lot of stuff. So if we're going to calculate the profit, we're starting with the contract sale price, right? The actual sale price for the property, not the ARV when it comes right down to it. The ARV is supposed to give us a target, but we may not be able to sell it for that price. So we're going to subtract our purchasing costs, subtract the renovation costs, subtract the holding costs, subtract the resale costs, and then whatever's left is the profit that goes to the rehab. And we hope there is some left. So, let's go back to our example. I told you previously about the ARV, the purchase price, and the rehab. So now let's assume we've got about $2,000 worth of purchasing costs as well, about $8,000 worth of holding costs over this time period, and then maybe $10,000 worth of resale costs associated with this deal. And I wanted to give you a nice little visual of how this might actually look. See, this was fun. I got to buy some blocks and play with blocks. So this is the visual depiction of this example. I know, so much fun. All right, so we had the purchase price $40,000. This is my blue down here at the bottom, purchase price. This white band in the middle here is the combination of purchasing and holding costs. I just lumped those together because I didn't have that many blocks to work with. And then I have resale costs, renovation costs in red for reno. And then finally the sale costs, resale cost estimate here is in the yellow. And guess what the green is? Yes. Green is the problem. Okay, so What do you think? Is this still a good deal?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, good. Good answer, correct answer. So it should be about how much now?
60,000.
60,000. Okay, before we said 80, right? Okay, so yeah, that's our this is our $20,000 difference. So that, the rehabber's not really gonna make that 20,000, that's going to somebody else. But it's still a pretty good deal. I'd still buy in on that. But, oh, yes, sir.
Well, there's one more, well, I don't know if you would consider it a cost, but when you do your repair estimate, it's wise to put maybe 10% in there in overages, just things you might not expect along the way.
Yes, so.
At least.
Did y'all hear that at the back? He said the recommendation is to put in maybe a 10% contingency.
It depends on the property. You can put 20% on some of them.
Right, maybe 20% contingency for unexpected things that you didn't know about. Yeah. Yeah, that's a good idea. And it's a good lead into our next slide, actually. What if any of our original estimates for this great deal are wrong? The estimates at the beginning are always based on some assumptions, right? Reality can be very different, causing some pretty big changes in our rehab stack. So the rehabber's profit is the piece that's always going to get squeezed, because all these other costs are going to be there. Those have got to get paid. The rehabber's profit piece is the portion that's going to get compromised along the way if other categories are higher than we expected. So, how could they be wrong? Well, lots of ways. Oh my goodness. This is just an example list. This is not supposed to be comprehensive by any stretch of the imagination. For the ARV, we could have bad comps. We could have market changes that occur over time. Problem neighbors. Oh my goodness. A good example there. One of our borrowers had bought a house, and I'll just give you the whole bad story. It had a basement. There was an unfinished basement. This one happened to be in Georgia. Unfinished basement. He decided to finish out the basement and add some square footage to the house. Okay. That would be a good thing, right? What should that do to our ARV?
Bring it up.
Should bring it up, right? Okay. So you all understand how that's supposed to work. But as far as the problem neighbor, he had a very nosy neighbor for this property who noticed every time there was a potential buyer and a real estate agent walking around, this nosy neighbor would come over and start, I don't know how to say this nicely. This nosy neighbor was actually a racist and started making comments to the potential buyers if this nosy neighbor didn't like the way they looked, and would basically start intimidating them or trying to discourage them from buying the property. This was completely, out of line, but unfortunately it was happening. And so it took a lot longer than my guy expected to sell the property because of this annoying neighbor who was just giving him a hard time.
They couldn't find a way to make him disappear in the basement?
Extra cement box.
I mean, it's bad, and there's really no excuse for that, but it happened.
Your neighbor has like 18 cats.
Oh, you tell about your neighbor across the street. No, not yours.
Yeah.
No, wait a minute. Let me rephrase. On gosh, was it
Marlston?
Mockingbird?
Marlston?
No, the one that had the
Highgate with the guy with the ice cooler next door?
No.
Oh, gosh.
No.
Mockingbird with
Mockingbird with
the head of Jolly Roger.
Oh, yeah.
Jolly Roger.
See, the neighbors across the street had, I don't know how to put it. It was vacant. If you're like driving for dollars, you're looking for a vacant house, you'd be like, vacant house, yes! Except for they had a Jolly Roger on like a tree, which is a skull and crossbones, in case you guys wonder what that is.
Pirate flag.
Yeah, pirate flag, right? And we did the house across the street. And it looks nice. It's completely rehab. We got it from Carlos, wherever he went. We bought it from him, and nice looking house by the time we were done with it. And the house across the street has weeds and overgrown bushes and shrubbery, and the siding's not good, and the roof's not good, and this and that. And I'm like, it's no problem. We've got landscaping crews here. I'm a nice person, and I understand what she's talking about. So I'm going to walk across the street and tell these lovely people, because I just learned not to judge people too hard, right? Because I don't want to be judged either. Got plenty of stuff you can judge me on. And I'm like, maybe they're handicapped. I'm sitting here thinking, these poor people, they can't get out and mow their yard. I don't want to cast the first stone. I want to go and do my thing. I want to be a helper. So I go talk to them. They're totally normal people, about my age, relatively young, no kids. They're weird, but just, on the judgment line. And I was like, hey, we got stuff over here. I just didn't know, like, they still could have been injured. I don't know. I'm trying to be nice. You want us to have our landscapers clean up this stuff? And she's like, oh, no. No, this is all wild vegetation. I said, I know, that's what I'm talking about. We're on the same page here. Let's do this. She's like, no, I'm the president of the South Carolina
Native Plant
Association. And I was like, say, come again? She goes, here, no, would you like a tour? These are all native grasses and this and that. So I'm like, see that? She said, yeah, so she took me on a tour of her crap yard. A tour. I'm scared of snakes. I told her, I was like, can you give me a snake bait, girl? She's like, no, he was over there the other day. He's not there right now. That's what I'm saying, he's not right there. Anyway, so she takes me on a tour of the Jolly Roger jungle, and she was the nicest person. She gave me lots of herbal tips. Serious, and she was all excited. She's like, this blackberry bush here was deposited naturally by a bird. I said, so the bird, there's a bird right? She's like, yes. And I'm like, well, that's cool. All organic. Anyway, so they didn't cut their yard. We didn't get to cut their yard. They still sold the house, and hopefully somebody's got a great neighbor.
But you never know. See, you never know if it's the way they like their yard or not. So sometimes you can have some issues with neighbors. Sometimes you get a bad appraisal, something that comes in way under what you would normally expect, and that can happen too. So lots of other potential issues with your after repair value. So lots of ways that could be wrong. With the purchasing costs, again, you might discover some unexpected liens or judgments or unpaid taxes that need to be brought current before you can purchase that property. For renovation costs, there's always something. That was a great tip to include the contingency fund, because there's always more there. If you start trying to repair one thing, you're going to find 2 or 3 more that probably need attention. Sometimes your systems fail after you buy the house. You might have inspection findings that occur when you're trying to sell it that you need to fix. You can have issues with contractors. Sometimes they don't spend the money the way that was intended to be spent. There are all sorts of things that can go wrong. Holding costs, the main thing here is it's taking longer than you thought it would. So time is very important when you're doing a renovation project, trying to keep it as small as possible and get it resold. And then the selling costs, things like the buyer's closing costs, punch list repairs, staging, things like that. Issues like these can start to turn a good deal into a bad deal. So, let's go back to our example. Let's get some reality on here. Let's still assume the ARV is realistic, but now our renovation costs are higher than we expected them to be. The heating and air system failed after we bought the house and had to be replaced. Bathroom floor, subfloor had to be replaced because there was some leakage going on into there. And then there's some miscellaneous other stuff that cost an extra $1,000. So now we're an extra $10,000 over our rehab budget that we originally expected. That also increased our holding costs because now we've had to take extra time to deal with these problems. And guess what? We haven't had any offers for 4 months because it was the slow selling season. Right? Fall and winter can tend to be very slow. And we had to put in a security system. And now we got resale costs. The buyers are asking for $5,000 toward their closing costs. We got punch list repairs. We had to take out some trees. We weren't planning on doing that either. So now, how do these issues affect our profit?
Greatly.
Okay. So, remember, purchasing costs are the same. That didn't change. Our holding costs are now a little bit higher than they were before. Rehab costs have gotten higher than they were before. Resale costs are higher. Look what happened to my profit. Yeah. So now, if we run through these numbers, again, these are made up, totally made up numbers because they fit the block structure. I'm just going to let you know that, okay? The blocks drove the example this time. Because I only have certain sizes to work with. Anyway, so now, this will still be 3 layers high, so about $30,000 worth of profit left.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah. But see, we would have thought this would be a screaming deal. We thought we were expecting $80,000 out of this one.
Screaming.
And now it's down to 30. It is a screaming deal, but it's not ecstatic screaming anymore. It's agonized screaming. Okay, I like the way y'all are playing that. Okay, so I'm still calling this a good scenario. Our rehabber is still making $30,000 profit on this deal. Okay, but now, it's gotten even worse. Because the house has been sitting there so long, people think there's something wrong with it. What do we do? Discount the price. Right. So we have to knock the price down to get this one moving. We're tired of carrying it around. Renovation costs are much higher than expected. Oh my goodness. Now some inspector came in and found foundation problems. Those can always be a doozy. They just said, the insurance company said they won't insure it with this current roof. We're going to replace the roof. It just gets ugly. Contractor takes some of our money and vanishes. Hey, don't laugh. This happens. All right, where's my rehabbers again? How many of you have had a contractor disappear with some of your money? Yeah. It happens. It happens. It's happened to me too. It's not fun. We don't want that to happen. So our holding costs are continuing to add up. So we got more delays since these extra renovations have to take place. Contracts are falling through because the buyers have discovered these issues and they changed their minds and walked away. So our taxes, our insurance, our utilities, our finance charges are still adding up. The resale costs were already high. So now, dun dun dun. What's wrong with this picture? There's no green. Oh my gosh, it all disappeared. So, and actually, this isn't even correct because this one it would have to be a little bit shorter. I don't have single layer yellow blocks to work with. But now our actual sale price is down to $140,000. Our renovation costs are way higher than they originally were planned.
Realtor fees are down. Hey, you gotta take your wins where you can.
Holding costs are way up because all those loan fees have added on. Resale costs are outrageous. So there's like no money left. So
save money on deed stamps too?
Slightly.
$10.
Okay, that's small change. The problem is, if our initial estimates are wrong or things happen during the project, the rehabber's profit is what gets squeezed until it just disappears. And I hate to tell you this may not even be the worst case scenario. It could get worse. Are you ready for this?
No.
No, you're probably not, really. The problem is, if the rehab stack exceeds the sale price of the house, is the rehabber getting any money back?
Nope.
I've had a couple of my borrowers on rare occasions, thankfully, but like the one in Georgia I was telling you about a minute ago, where they renovated the basement, he had to bring money to closing to sell the house. That sounds wrong, right? That's just That's awful. Why would you, I mean, back in 2008 when the whole housing crisis happened, that's what happened. People were underwater with their houses. This is what can happen to a rehabber. A rehabber can end up underwater with a house. And so yes, he actually had to bring money to closing to sell the property. Or it may be that they've already paid out all this money on renovation costs and things like that. They can't get it back. So this is, in my opinion, is the worst case scenario, having to take money to the closing to sell the house. It's this combination of delays in getting it renovated and sold, and then declining home values that can be deadly. So let's go back and recap here. See, I told you these are going to be cool. All right. Under these circumstances, this was a good deal. I'm trying to hold these flat. Because these are all the same height, right? Assuming the same ARV, I guess in our last example, ARV might have even been lower. Well, let's assume same ARV. You see the difference here? Purchase price remains the same. Our holding costs, I should do it this way so that makes sense to y'all. Holding costs gradually increasing in the white section over time. Renovation costs in the red, gradually increasing over time. The resale costs in the yellow increased somewhat as well. And our profit disappeared.
How much fire insurance you got?
Just asking for
you don't say that on the record.
Bob, scrub that.
Don't say that on the record. But not even gonna go there. All right. Gee. So the whole point of this conversation here is to try to give you some perspective on these types of costs and how they affect the profit potential from that deal for the rehabber. The rehabbers are really bearing all the risk because if something goes wrong, the change occurs in their profit. That's the piece that gets squeezed. If the numbers don't work out the way we originally thought, the rehabber's profit is what's going to gradually change and decrease over time. After they purchase a property, they're committed to absorbing any extra costs by sacrificing some of their profit. So I believe it's important for wholesalers, those of you in the room who are trying to wholesale properties, provide realistic numbers for ARV and renovation costs, and to try to, even beyond that, negotiate a price that will still give your rehabber some wiggle room, because this is real. I mean, this is real. Their profit can easily disappear in a matter of months. So just because you could get $15,000 as a wholesale fee on that deal doesn't mean you ought to. Maybe you could take 12 or 10,000 instead, leave your rehabber a little more wiggle room, and maybe have a repeat customer going forward. Because if the rehabbers overpay on the front end, they cannot make that back up. There's no way to recover that lost opportunity. So, if you're a rehabber, these are my general recommendations. Don't over-improve the property. I think the guy who renovated the basement or finished out the whole basement discovered that could be a challenge. It was then the biggest house in the neighborhood and the higher price than all the other houses in the neighborhood. Spend wisely. This is the main thing, is speed. Get it done quickly. The borrowers that I've worked with that have really got in trouble have been the ones where the project stalled. Because those holding costs just keep piling up. And that's where they really get in trouble. And then negotiate those resale terms very carefully. Celia already mentioned the owner-occupied tax rate. Please put that in your contract to sell the property, that the taxes will be prorated at the owner-occupied rate. And then if the buyer wants some sort of big contribution to their closing costs, that's okay. Maybe you can ask for a higher price, higher sale price to compensate for that so that it preserves your profit. There are probably a lot more, but these were the first things that came to mind to try to combat some of that. So, just to summarize, these are the main components of the rehab stack. It's not just the after repair value, the purchase cost, and the renovation costs. You really got to consider these pieces because a lot of that profit can disappear over time through holding costs and resale. So as you're thinking about deals, if you're a rehabber and evaluating the deal, make sure you keep those numbers in mind, get some estimates that you can work with. And even if you're a wholesaler, get some realistic numbers in your mind about what those ought to be for a 6-month rehab. Let's go with a 6-month assumption. Build that in and make sure that the price you're asking for that property is reasonable to still leave some profit for the rehabber. Any questions? This is just a high-level overview. We'd actually, let me pitch one idea to you. I pitched it to Bob. In my mind, there could be a whole hour-long discussion, probably, or maybe hour and a half, on each one of those components, on how to estimate after repair value, how to things to consider for purchasing and resale costs. Those will probably go together. How to estimate renovation costs. I guess Eddie's doing his workshop again this weekend, the hands-on practice. That's an excellent way of estimating renovation costs. There could probably also be a discussion of holding costs. Would anybody be interested in a more detailed description of those?
Well, yeah.
Yes.
The holding costs, would you include the interest-only payments to a lender?
Yes.
Those can be up to.
Yes, thank you. Okay, well, we'll think about doing that. All right, that's all I have for this evening. I'll be glad to answer questions.
Throw the block at JD now?
What's up?
Throw the blocks at JD.
Anybody wants a closer look at the blocks? I'll have them up here for display.
Hey folks, don't forget, you have a name tag with you that I can name leaves. And this is for people who are interested in this workshop, okay?
I have tickets for the pancake breakfast for anybody who would like to buy tickets or get some.
How quickly are you?
One more thing is, February 28th to March 1st, I called it.
I'll grab them on the way out too. Your brother-in-law's still there.
When he's home downtown, and he will take his number.
I forgot about how you to do in the smoker.
Oh.
Your name? Yeah, right now I
That sounds like a hassle, you know, and then what condition is that house going to be in?
We decided to sell it as it is.
Really?
We got a great deal.
Okay.
And we gave us an offer, wholesale price, but we made a lot of money. They had bought a whole bunch of houses.
Okay, yeah.
And they decided to get that kind of house, not just out of that because it's really like that.
They just, yeah.
So they lost their house. We decided, bless you. Thank you. Yes, we had a great time. We made a lot of money. It was like, we were frustrated. We got to sell it.
Yeah, you just wanted to get it out of here.
It took a little time. It was an
Everybody has parts that they're good at, and that's what we do. Yeah, I'll see you guys later here or at the,
They want you to come in. That'll be fun to see that.
well, I don't really know. I would try to take that out
They have two. They have Gilbert, they have northeast, it's like a little bit outside, closer to and they do some really good architectural walls, walls, rounded corners. They do a real good job, and you walk in the kitchen, and it's like these ugly appliances. The stove has got burners. And I'm like, no, screw everybody else's glasses. Yeah. And they're like, yeah, we put it's all about the handling it. You know, they bring them in, salesperson, and the finance people kind of work together to get the price right, I guess. I don't know.
It looks like a complex car.
Yeah.
You look at the picture of it, you buy it, then you get it.
And the models, I think they have 5 models in each housing area, so not a lot of diversity. And there's no upgrade. I mean, there's no upgrade now. 2 1 level, and 3 2 suite. So, yeah. And then it's USDA, so everybody can just go down. And then you're building a middle school. Yeah, it's gonna be nice. So
They have a decent amount of houses that are.
it's only so much that you can do but push out.
You say that, like, you say that like you don't want them to work.
As soon as they pave my road, I'll move.
That one's
I suspect I was being built on my road by 2 acres.
Oh, you see, it's a small world.
Yeah, that's what I saw.
But that's gotta be what's
How are you, sir? How you doing? I'm all right. Oh, okay. Which is like absolutely so you go in the master, it's got like and then off the master there's another door with a shower. And off of that so I was on the right side. So like you got 2 rooms that have full bathrooms. There's only one that actually sucks. Like seriously. That helps. I'm gonna get you guys stuff. I'm saying 1930s. I mean, do it right. I don't know what to do. That's pretty bad. I mean, I was on a single bed. Wayne looked at Eddie, looked at it, and I told him, that is the best structure. I and then, I mean, you go, there's a high one and a real low one. But I'm like, it's not a fun area. It's a rent area. It's right by a school. I know. That's what close to your interview. There's actually one of the houses across the street is like, you gotta do 300 inside. That's what you gotta finish it. You know what I mean? That's where ARP's hurt sometimes. You gotta redo the whole. You can't just shine your pig. We'll see. I'm gonna get that. I see I'm gonna drive through the spot. If you set up the big shade, you still this week. What happens after 8 years? What about 8 years?
JD's right hand.
I'm not either. If you're associated with JD, you're never around with JD.
And if you have Adrian and Mark.
Yeah. He's the nicest guy in the world. Did you know he's a nurse? Go ahead.
You know how I know that?
I'm like, what are you a nurse? So you don't, he's like, I'm a pharmacist. I'm a pharmacist. I'm like, yeah, nurse, pharmacist, same thing. I don't work in a hospital.
That's why I told my guys in our Right. Yes. And then the one next door, 245. As soon as it was listed, I know, this house, it was toured. And the guy called me, he's like, hey man, we're getting this house, it's sold.
Okay, I heard so he was like, yeah, but they did it right. It wasn't even great. Everything was you gotta do the forest acres, downtown.
But they all have. Nobody ever sees at the house. Be better served. I don't even mind. Like that $8,000 within 2 days. No exceptions.
I have been a lawyer. I've been screwed one day.
You've been able to close in 10 days. You know, how in the world is even closed in 10 days? I mean, they say pick the attorney for you. Pick the attorney for you. As a buyer, I can choose whatever attorney I want. I'll let you play that too. Because what happens is we get under contract, we immediately building somewhere. The golf? Title work to be done. I usually put the email title close there, or title work to be paid by the attorney, or the work that's already been done. So that you don't have that.
How are you doing? Good and bad. I drove by step the other day. I had a listing right around the side. Well, that was such a weird situation. We just needed to get out of that. What about the sewer line? That was, I've never called another house as a realtor close on take pictures. That was she goes climb through the side. Well, as I was down there taking pictures of the hooked up water heater, it's not disconnected. Fine, it was like that too. I saw that too. And it was three different, I mean, there was not just you dealing with contractors, you need to surround with someone else, another company. You know, it's just so stressful in so many ways. And the time of the life, you know, where it was at, in your life wasn't easy anyway. So it's like, here I am trying to get this thing done, and we're at the finish line, it's not working. We get to the finish line, it's I was telling the realtor meeting, I was in that house, and then my broker took me inside, he's like, well, you don't get called in the house. 15 minutes, I know, but this is a friend, people close, or I did it on a special occasion, I know you're supposed to. Yeah. But it was just, it gets me in a weird spot as a realtor, you know. I'm trying to do some clips on the side, you know, just hoping to do a little better than that. That's what you're looking for. There's some I and there were 14 price offers.
I tried to do it like his birthday, my birthday, his year, my year.
So, I know it's going on, and it's like it is and stuff like that, but
this one's like completely different. The guy,
well, it might be. Yeah, when I talked to the agent, I was like, hey, I've seen you in an offer, and it's a West Columbia home. She was like, oh yeah, unless you're prepared to bid over, we've got 14 full price offers. And HUD wants to extend it one more day, so we'll probably have 15 or 16. My budget was real short, and I was right there at the sale price, but I wasn't going to be able to go over. So I was like, no, I'll keep it. So door knocking's the way to do it. Find them, or
Do you know what for?
I guess, but you gotta.
She told me that
Just click them right there. I wish I could. I just don't.
That's gonna be the same.
Oh, really?
My credit really is gonna be the same.
Alright, you already know it's, you're not doing it for the people that are there, once they move out. Right. Yeah. That's not bad though. Because most of the time, you know, everybody tells you that if they're, you do own the financing and that people fall behind, help them get out of the house and take care of it, cut the grass, and, treat the house nice, because you treat them nice. You can re-originate that sucker with somebody else that, you could be the lender on it.
That's what you
the guys up in Denver were talking about, give them $500 to help them move out. Because in the long run, if you don't, you're just going to trash it down. They're going to tear it up, and then you're going to spend over $500. Yeah, he goes, I'll give you $500. I'll help you move. I'll get you out of the house. I understand problems happen. We'll just not even pursue the back payments and that. And I'm like, wow, that's like $3,000. He's like, yeah, but it's still, you're never going to get the back payments because they've already fallen behind. It's probably just going to be bankruptcy. So you're never going to get there. So, and they are going to tear it up. And if you're talking about electrical and plumbing, they tear that stuff up. It's over $500. Go ahead and help
Her baby's pretty
get out.
I think they're doing
Yeah, right.
Babies are resilient.
Yeah, so you get it back.
We have our baby's 10 months old.
Well, good.
they're bendable.
It's a slim market, that's for sure, for those things. And we were 1,000 houses.
I didn't problem. I put them on the couch
from what we sold. So,
oh, the first time we put away overnight.
And the market increased by 7 to 8%.
It was all good, but as soon as she walked in the door,
We didn't have any houses, it was like, people would see houses and make offers, right away. Get it locked down, then keep shopping, that's what really pissed me off. Yeah. Dylan, that's right. Alright, it was nice seeing you.
Nice seeing you again too.
Lady excuses.
Big Devin. I'm JD, by the way. Well, nice to meet you. Are you?
He's my real estate guy.
Shadow realtor? I didn't know if you were there.
Yeah, we
Even though they're together. Which part of this triangle is it? He's in the middle, okay.
He's a lucky man. I'm just kidding.
I didn't know that.
You're next. Okay. Kevin, this meeting you called. You know that the
What?
So you show a couple times, you'll have to make a phone call.
Well, I'm taking it from Brandon.
Yeah.
And then, because I'll be there.
Brandon's good agent. No problem.
I'm sorry, I didn't bring that up.
House looks good. I like it. It looks nice. No explanation. Nobody's really got an explanation. Nobody's giving us offers. And we people that have come through and looked at it and told us it's priced too low. That never happens. Why are people doing this? Like, I don't know. If you try too low, make it an offer. He's like totally. Basically, like, I don't know. He's like, dude, I don't know. I have two on Rosewood. I have one in Lansing. I know, but it's legal. Do you expect real estate to sell in like one day? Would you rather sell a house in Leesville or would you rather sell a house in Irma? sell a house in Irvine than to sell a house in Leesville because it's going to sell quicker. It's not really a huge deal. Rosewood, not a bad area, not a bad part of Rosewood. And it's a market for like 9 months.
Yeah, that's.
That's what it is.
Like Carlos.
The mortgage is 680.
Like to tell us that you have a Roseway. I have two. We had a bunch of people come over at 8 o'clock. But for the last 8 months,
We're around because all these things are 8 o'clock in the morning. And it's like I have to spend the night there so that I can get there.
Yeah, 8 o'clock.
we had another contract twice. One of us had a contract twice in a row. Neither one of us gave us inspections. Neither one of us. Well, the second one did, but the inspection report said on the siding that they were lacking 1 inch. You're like, fuck
Yes, we do.
Yeah, Kelly. Yeah. That's the limit. That's the limit anymore.
I am.
He loves downtown, you guys. He doesn't but it's some bullcrap. I would never pay for it. I'm just not gonna buy houses that I like.
Softball parties there.
I don't like roses. Shannon, right?
It's a rental department.
But that's
a lot of restaurants in Harbison get taxed out.
One Forest Lake or something. You're
did.
Across the Midlands.
Yeah. I mean, like, it's
Jim, did you never heard that?
Okay.
That's bad.
That's why I was like,
Hey, if you go to the restaurant, always get a job for you.
thank you for these qualities. You can lend him money though. Did you see on Facebook? Yeah. 10,000. He did 10 houses. He bought them and fixed them and sold them all by himself. Somehow I'm still left with 5 of them. I don't know how that worked. If he sold them, supposedly he says he sold them. I don't know how I bought all those houses. My name's on the title. For what? You can't what?
We're lucky to have it.
For investment because he put these for investors and the present return and all that stuff.
Oh, yeah.
That's regulated.
Yeah, you're right.
You cannot put any of that.
Yes.
Have you seen my posts about asking for money?
I'm Karen.
That's what I'm saying. I'm like, I haven't seen this.
You seen all my guru posts about how awesome I am? You haven't seen those either, have you? Did you say stop?
Have you seen the ones that are I did all this. I'm like, you've been in there.
I almost put that. This guy was like teaching. He had one deal on the contract. And I can tell you his name. But he's on there like, if you guys just stick with it and you stay at it and you put your mind to it, you will make it work. And I'm like,
Who's this one?
who's got $1 million for this land in Batesburg? And you're like, what? And he's like, who does mobile home stuff?
He's doing everything.
Who does Bitcoin? Anybody do Bitcoin? And then we were like, my friend was like, dude, I'm just trying to help, but I think you're all over the place. Like, no, I got this, bro. Give me a call.
Who was the one that Chad and the loan
Which one?
I was going to, usually I would jump into that one, but I was like, no, I think there's two. he has covered everything there. It was, oh, that house is the burnt house in,
Oh, yeah.
it came up.
Listen, everybody's like, nobody's gonna give you money. Yes, we'll give you $10,000. That's all. We've already talked to the homeowner. They already won't do $10,000. We understand. Just let them do it. Just stop, please.
And I was just going to jump on that one on my car.
The testing is usually best done by busy
But
people.
I have people on there still. I call Chad. I tell him. Seriously, I saw
I will stop what I'm doing.
I'll screenshot it and send it. I saw some on there the other day, and I immediately, oh, is that, I think it's a Nigel thing. I immediately just picked his phone up, and it was like 2 in the morning. Here, but it's up in Camden. So I'm like, Chad, did you see this thing online?
Chad used to be, MP.
Well, he was Richland County.
He goes, no.
He was the MP. He's the same way, he likes to fire sale people. I'm like, I'm on the phone with this lady who, we're trying to buy her house up to, and she wants money and this, and I'm just talking to her about her options, and she's like, I want to know if somebody can just, I'm behind in payments, somebody can just give me the money, I can pay them back. You know, I worked it out with the bank where they have her in a trial month, she doesn't even know it. And she thinks she's smart, so I told her she was smart. Because I'm playing like a fiddle, right? And she's like, well, somebody just give me some money. I'm like, I said, yeah, that would be great. And she's like, there's no way we're giving this lady money for her back payments and letting her keep the deed and her keep the house so that she can move out of it and rent it when she can't afford the payments here and she's got it taken care of where she's moving to. And I'm like, I just agreed with her because I'm building rapport. And I let her, I was like, so like I'm on the phone with her and she's like,
ticked me off so
what are you
bad.
doing? And I'm over here, I'm like,
Really?
I'm just letting her run with it. She's going. She's going. Then I got
I
her.
already pulled my bead in.
Yeah. I said, man, that would be awesome. I said, but you agree that you would never give somebody money that was in your situation, would you? Like at the end of it? But I told her I agreed like 3 times, and she's like, yeah, I didn't think that would work, but you know, I thought it might work. And I was like, yeah, well, the best option for her, I just moved on and tell her what we wanted to tell her anyway. I just listened to her stupid story. But Ted's over here like, just hang out. Just hang out.
That's okay,
I really have 0 patience, naturally. I have 0 actual patience out of the box. I have learned that in order to not always seem like a moron, it takes, you gotta chill for a second.
You gotta go get a 1-hour tour of the yard of the president of the South Carolina Native Plant Association.
Yeah, you get to meet some interesting people. So like, instead of jumping to the conclusion.
That was the same lady that I talked to the first time, and you know, I'm trying to make small talk, getting to know her, and she talked about, you know, this was in Rembert, and she works in Camden. I was like, well, what are you doing in Camden? She's like, I don't feel like you need to know what I do.
He's trying to be nice.
And I'm trying to be nice, and she's already rubbing me wrong. And then she set me up with another question. I was just trying to get to know her, and she just cold shouldered me again. I was like, look, I really don't care what it is. I'm just trying to make small talk.
That's what I told her.
But it's like, I'm already done with you.
That lady is crazy 7 ways.
And of course, Tanya's in her office. She hears me say that, and she just spins around in her chair.
Yes. Yeah.
Good seeing you.
Your business card? Don't worry about it, I'll get it from you.
We know how to find you.
It's okay, I got coworkers from out of state.
You talking to
They're
your
like talking about wanting to buy their.
You paid rent?
You wanna buy a house?
He's a good dude. I believe in him. He's playing I knew that he was playing the devil's game. And I mentioned that to him. He's a good dude and he sticks with things.
Someone miss it?
Oh, somebody. That's Bob.
Maybe just lay on.
Yeah, put it on the table right there, because Bob will get it when he gets his stuff.
Yeah. He's their pharmacist.
Oh, trust me,
He's a wonderful guy. And if you talk to anybody, I mean, he's always like, he's always smiling. Like, he's not gonna smile. A wonderful person. And he's a smart dude. He just learned. His problem really was thing one had all of his, he had like 6 rentals or whatever, and a flip. The flip took a little bit long. He got a little bit sideways with the flip. They foreclosed on this whole thing. And so then he's like, but I've never seen people that think perhaps there's more to it. Hear about that. That's kind of where it went sideways, doing flips and rentals. And they, whatever it's called. And also his flip. Now that he was doing it off their appraisals, so like he actually had appraisals, but that particular house, we denied it because it was on a turf, out on a main road, and we couldn't see the road. To go see the house, somebody could buy it. They're gonna pull in the driveway.
What? Oh my gosh, you need to go see that.
And you got Jake up with
no, video won't even do it justice.
Like you can't, you have to see it.
I mean, after going through it, I was like, so you've got to come and walk.
Contractors and
yeah, you
turns out it's not a licensed contractor.
So like weird, awkward. How big's the living room? Like 1,000 square feet.
It's big as this room. Yeah, it's probably.
And they didn't wire any of the ceiling, so it's like those chains to the ceiling. They've got the grill, not grill, the oven,
He's on your
and
list.
the island. Okay.
It's at the end. It's at the end of the island.
It's at the end of the island. Opens the
So you gotta reach in here to open it. It's like a dishwasher. You gotta reach in and open it. Yeah, it's bizarre.
That sounds like the houses that are just sitting cases, they just kind of like.
No input from woman at all.
That's
true. Exactly what happened.
I see so many houses.
She hasn't even seen it yet.
They're just like,
Yeah.
put this over there.
You're the one in the power, you know, like, you're the one with leverage. I just wish I were
Shingles. They just raised the roof and added the section, there was a section of the house. And they just left all the shingles. I mean, it's not correct.
and they just laid a new roof on top of the old roof.
No, because.
And the middle part's not air conditioned. It's terrible. I just wish there were something other than grab the slate.
Oh, you know about up in the air? Yeah, yeah.
It's the roof. That section there is
Like I go over there. Outside.
I thought they were together.
Forgot about that.
So, because I always
So there's 4 sets of sliding glass doors inside
Like
the living room.
bedroom?
No, it's like to get from the living room to the
We're just like,
hallway.
what?
I need to get on the phone with you, the supervisor.
God, it's so weird. Like he was like, this seems like a good idea. Yeah. It was just like piece together, piece together.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they get it. That's good. I didn't want to reply to the text, that was like.
Theirs is like, they just.
Where does it get to?
I just want to know, it has nothing to do with you or me. He needs to turn his gas off. Here's the end.
I had to go to
It's like this wrong web.
nobody else could ask me.
Turn it on your name, turn it right back off at the same time.
We're selling some houses, so that's good.
Get on the phone with your VA. You told me 2 months ago that you were going to do that. Last month you were
I had her check on it. Like 5 times.
what I'm being told, spoke blank for her.
Because we have a high experience somewhere in that.
Obviously, they had to be property management council. So she tried to call.
Well, you can hire people.
Yeah. But you can outsource it. So you gotta hire new people, so. So if they don't act like the other property management people that I work with.
Because I feel like every person
I know the gas was off. Call my HVAC guy and said, you should do some HVAC. He came over.
That's it. I've got to set this up for tomorrow too.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
I mean, the gas is physically turned off, not locked, not no account. Physically in the off position. Does that make sense? My furnace was not working. No gas was flowing through the pipe. It's physically turned off at the circuit, so there should be no charge.
So what she told me.
Does that make sense? Whether or not whose bill it was.
I know what you're saying, but she said, well, yes,
You don't need it.
maybe
They
somehow
are
they
in the
could write
first
across.
floor on there.
I'm assuming so.
The thing is, I'm not gonna get the, we only get this result. We do not have that.
But it's full, it's
Right.
on the
You're
floor,
not required to have
full
an
as
account.
hell. And I was like, Mom, it's always full, because you don't have installation. Well, he says it doesn't, it's okay. I'm like,
You do realize
no,
this has
honey, he
nothing
has
to
to
do
put the
with you
insulation
or I.
in there.
Right, okay.
But the only people that
The
consult it
shower.
are you and me.
This has absolutely zero to do with you. At all.
It's one of
Period,
those corner
case closed.
showers.
That is true.
Other than you just being nice. You're choosing to have this.
So it's a drain coming out, and I'm like, somebody he has to fix that. He said, he said it was okay. I'm like, no, I'm telling you, there's a drain that is broken in there, and it's leaking out to the
Right.
floor.
And when Dean did it, I said, I want to be very clear.
Insulation, and it's
I told her,
fucking
before
cool.
we ever I said, what if
freezing.
I said, I think that when I turn them on, it'll automatically cancel his and this.
Yeah, I don't know
However,
that.
Be like,
I
I
can't
was
stand
be like, oh,
when I buy a
about
house.
this and it got
It
worse.
bothers
A lot of
me.
my leases were.
Because people come back and they say, well, I didn't turn the power off this night. I'm
I
sorry,
just
very
said
clear
to-
up front.
I just said to,
It's the seller's responsibility to turn off any and all utilities that they do not want in their name.
put it on, I mean,
Because of random stuff like this that happens, and I'm not mad at necessarily you about it, I really want to say thank you, but thank you for turning his stuff off, you know? It's not my responsibility, nobody lives there, I don't really need gas, the gas has nothing to do with it.
Was because it said the closing documents that show that the house is turned. So that gives her the.
Someone call in and be like, hey, I need to turn this on in my name. And then call back and say, hey, I need to turn this off in my name. It has nothing,